after winning the Big 12 regular season championship on Tuesday. Oh my, a hammer from Butler.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Vital on the glass, Thumba on the glass, and it's a great start for the Bears.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Butler sets up Teague in the corner. Maceo Teague makes it a quick 5-0 start for Baylor.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Man, we're the Baylor Bears. We're going to get that right. We don't take this loss and make it think that, we're just some team. We're still one of the best teams in the country at the end of the day. And we just took a lick. We got knocked out. Now we got to get back up. Muhammad Ali did a lot.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
But we're still some dogs, so we're not too worried about it.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this Thursday afternoon on the day the NCAA tournament. March Madness starts today. In fact, starts this afternoon. There are 4 play-in games. And then, of course, Baylor tomorrow, 2:30, about this time, will have played pretty much about half of the first half against Hartford as they open up their dream of trying to get to the Final Four and possibly win a national championship. Women start over the weekend. Armstrong Sims runs the mothership. Craig Smoak is to my right. Paul Catalina to my left. I'm David Smoak, and Cole is back from wherever he has been. And so we got a lot to get to today. I just recorded about an hour ago an interview with John Jacobs, Baylor assistant coach. And I heard words in that interview that I got a feeling these last 3 or 4 days have been really chippy and edgy and aggressive and confrontational. Players on players, coaches and players. Not everybody oh, okay, that's what we're going to do. It has been a week where they have gotten themselves back to basics, almost like basic training in a way, and I think that's a great sign, whether it carries over to Hartford or whoever else remains to be seen. That's coming up here in just a second. Isn't that what you wanted to hear?
Yeah.
Now, can they do anything with it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you hear all these things. I trust this team, though. Veteran-laden, knows that it's not just talk. I mean, sometimes you hear, oh, this is the greatest practice we've ever had. Oh, man. And
we heard Mark Vital. We heard them say over the weekend, right, Craig, that, hey, yeah, we got to get back. That doesn't mean it happens. It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to do it.
Yeah, it is. And, we'll see. It's good to hear. But, at this point, we've talked a lot about this team, and we've heard a lot about this team, and I'm just ready to watch this team, quite honestly. I mean, we can hear it all. I could talk for 3 hours about, everything they need to do and ultimately they just got to go do it. So good to hear. Music probably to some people's ears, but for me, I'm just ready to see it. At this point, we've been going over every aspect of this team, just like I'm sure they have. So hopefully this little internal review of themselves, or heart check or whatever they need to do is going to get them back in the right direction. And I do think it's been internal. I think it's been as much mental, emotionally, as also, of course, practicing as well. Jovan Overshown's going to join us today at 4:45. Of course, he's the External Affairs Senior Associate AD at Baylor. Armstrong, can you put up the graphic? I don't know how many of you saw this yesterday. Baylor started throwing this out there. This is a new collection. It's called the Limited Edition Energy Play Capsule Collection. And I'm not so sure if those things didn't all get gobbled up pretty quickly. The reaction has been amazing. There's the Sailor Bear. We saw the basketball team kind of showing that with their hoodies. There's the hoodie. That collection was something that really was kind of under the radar, and Jovan will join us today at 4:45 to explain the process behind it.
I'm glad that Baylor got Sailor Bear worked out rights-wise. We used to get questions for Ian McCaw back in the day where people would ask us about, can we have Sailor Bear official merchandise? And I think the problem, just boiled down to a nutshell, was the guy who did it was kind of like the same guy that did the Houston Oilers and Miami Dolphins song. He just did it for a bunch of different. So there was Sailor Bear, and then there was Sailor Wolfpack guy, or whatever it was. And so the rights were all tangled up. So I'm glad they're getting to use that now.
Jeremiah Dickey, former Boise State, former Baylor assistant AD under Mack Rhodes, will join us today at 3:30. He's now the AD and has been now for 2 or 3 months at Boise State. And a segment with Tim Maloney. He's going to join us live, former Baylor assistant coach. I have done some great research on him and vice versa. He has given me some things of where he has been. He has been, you don't talk about an historian for basketball, been all over the world promoting basketball. He'll join us today at 4 o'clock. Mickey at 4:30. And then a year ago today, our lives changed. All three of us, those of us on this set. And we're going to discuss a little bit of that today at 5. Nothing earth-shattering, but allow you to understand a little background in how a year ago today, there was no SicEm365 Radio. In fact, there really wasn't one until the weekend after this time a year ago. And we're going to discuss that because I can say for myself, I can't speak for Craig and Paul, it was something that at the time was kind of a shock, and then in the end was like a new lease on life and how you're supposed to be able to enjoy your job and love your job and also enjoy the journey.
I wonder how Armstrong felt on March 18th, not knowing his whole life was going to be changed. You know, I don't know if he thinks about if he'll go back, when he's an old man and think about March 18th, 2020 was probably the worst day of my life because I had no control over what was about to happen to me.
It took a few months for us to
it set in motion,
lure him into
events.
the web. So, I've always loved my job. I've always loved the fact that I get paid to discuss sports and cover events. So don't get me wrong there, but we'll get into that today at 5 o'clock. All right?
Sure.
Bob Mock will sending us a couple of pizzas from Marcos, by the way, one of our sponsors of this show. We'll have that in the studio as well. All right? Now, the tournament starts today. 4 games today. Texas Southern and Mount St. Mary's. The winner gets Michigan. That starts at 4:10, about an hour from now. Drake and Wichita State, a couple of 11 seeds, will win. The winner gets Southern Cal. That starts at 5:27 our time. At 7:40 tonight, Appalachian State, Norfolk State, 16 seeds. The winner gets top overall seed Gonzaga. And then tonight, nearly at 9 o'clock, UCLA and Michigan State at 11 seeds. Play-in games, the winner will get Brigham Young. Michigan State as a play-in game.
Yeah, they've played well, though, down the stretch. I mean, they got really hot down the stretch. But, yeah, this is that were almost a team. You think about it, the way they started out the season, that was almost another blue blood that could have been out, the way they played early in the season.
I say Michigan State, but Michigan State and UCLA have a tremendous history in basketball. And they're both now in the play-in game, and dangerous, too. Brigham Young's probably going, golly, you get the winner of 2 teams that are icons. Of course, Baylor, if they do take care of business, they're going to get either Wisconsin or North Carolina. Jared Butler and Daveon Mitchell, they were a part of the Naismith, the National Association of Basketball Coaches, All-American team. They've been on every All-American team. Maceo Teague has been on a handful of them as well. Now, 8 positives total out of 9,100 COVID tests in Indianapolis. And this is tier 1, 2, and 3 of everybody there. 9 or 8 positive tests. Kansas, Wilson, is it Jalen Wilson? I always get his name. He will show up and be able to play. If, in fact, KU wins, he could be available possibly Monday. We mentioned McCormack will be there tomorrow and available to play in their opening game, I think, is on Saturday. The other player is out the first weekend. Virginia arrives tomorrow. Test immediately. Quarantine for 12 hours.
Practice for 2 days after not doing it, and then play games against Texas and TCU that had to do that without any kind of lead up time and all that. That's the thing about COVID, and that's why I pick against Virginia, not because they're not better, just because that's not a fair window to really get anything done and win a game in.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. We'll see what happens. I haven't filled out my bracket. I'm probably the last person to have not filled it out, but not ideal, but part of the situation that they're signed up for with this COVID testing and everything that has to take place. So fortunately for Baylor, they got in there a couple days early and were able to hopefully, we know they got some practices in prior to arriving. So hopefully since getting cleared from quarantine a couple days ago, they've been able to continue on with that. And they'll be ready to go. Don't know about everybody else, but as long as Baylor's ready to go, then, that's all that really matters.
One more note on the NFL. There's been some movement, really a few names here and there. Cowboys have a defensive tackle, Urban. Anthony Krupe has this on Twitter just now. The NFL has renewed its media rights.
Well, that needs to forget that guy's name. Craig Carton needs to get credit for that. Craig Carton's
from New York?
Craig Carton had that way before.
The NFL has renewed its media rights with CBS, Fox, NBC, and ESPN. $90 billion series of moves that will keep the TV's most lucrative programming on the air through the end of 2033. And, of course, that will affect immediately the cap this year down because of pandemic. It will blow back up, and Jerry knew that, and all the owners knew that, and that's why some of these contracts and a little bit of tightness this year will be loosened up quite a bit because that cap's going to move up quickly, very, very quickly. It is the number one across the board, year in and year out, week in and week out. Every year, the NFL games are a monster when it comes to ratings.
Well, Craig Carton had a little bit of a different tweet about an hour ago, actually, and he was saying, and he's a radio host out of New York for those that don't know, but he seemed to be plugged in pretty well, and he's with the fans, so they're not going to have him out there just throwing out random NFL notes because they're a pretty big brand, but he said DirecTV is out of the NFL game, so I know a lot of people out there who have DirecTV simply for the NFL. Well, you're going to probably have to go back to the drawing board. You're not going to really need DirecTV if it's simply for football because they're not going to have it. ESPN Plus is getting the Red Zone, I guess, NFL, contract. Amazon Prime will be the exclusive home of Thursday Night Football per Carton. And then it'll be an 11-year deal. They'll have an opt-out clause, I guess, after 7 years. And ESPN, CBS, Fox, NBC will continue doing their games. So Amazon's getting some NFL on Thursdays, and DirecTV's out.
We have to get to John Jacobs and then Jeremiah Dickey, then Tim Maloney. I think it's going to be an incredible show today for, I hope, you and what you enjoy, what we bring to the table to you the next 3 hours. It's a great day for us as well. But, yeah, DirecTV, I used to get DirecTV because of the Sunday ticket. Paul, I know you've had it before, but that's out the window.
They're about to get a call.
Yeah, I know.
They're about to get a call.
All right, when we come back, Baylor assistant coach John Jacobs. You've heard all of the digesting, the discussion, the maybe even hand-wringing or what the hell. A lot of you on the Twitter feed, when I asked about what needs to get better, if it's one specific thing, and I think John Jacobs may be getting to some of that. I asked him about the defensive rotations. I asked him about the bench. I asked him about Flagler and Matthew Meyer. All of that and much more. That's next on SicEm365 Radio. If you smoke cigars, then you need to know about Don's Humidor. If you drink coffee, you need to know about Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans and their location in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. I could look it up here on the site and look at all the names of cigars, but I can also tell you that if you smoke cigars or if you want to buy something, let's say for a client, a gift for somebody, Macanudo, Ashton, Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Cohiba, Padron. These are the best names of cigars. The number one cigar in the world, Cuatro Nicaragua, that is available as well inside the 48-foot walk-in humidor at Don's Humidor in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. Carolyn Ashley will make sure you understand, take you through the 48-foot walk-in humidor. Boxes upon boxes of cigars, whatever length you want, whatever aroma or flavor. When I say flavor, I mean the taste of it when you're smoking the cigar on the tip of your lip. That is what they can do. And the coffee beans with numerous aromas and flavors as well when it comes to coffee beans, fresh coffee beans, CBD products like Vita Dreams to help you fall asleep earlier and more comfortably and not toss and turn and get that extra 30, 40 minutes or maybe an hour of sleep every night. Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Qualified buyer, see dealer for details. The anniversary sales event is happening now at Richard Carr. 22 years in Central Texas is worth celebrating with big savings on all cars and trucks. Savings like $3,500 off a 2021 Buick Envision or Buick Encore GX. Save $6,000 off a 2021 Buick Enclave. Save $6,500 off a 2021 GMC Terrain or GMC Acadia. Come by for prize giveaways and deep anniversary discounts on every car or truck on the lot. It's the anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Baylor assistant basketball coach John Jacobs with me on SicEm365 Radio. Well, you're there, you've been there, you've had a chance, and kind of the theme I've heard, we had Jerome Tang as you guys were boarding the flight, on Monday, and Coach Drew. The theme I get is you guys have been able to get back to some fundamentals, focus on yourself, practice. Do you feel good about what you've accomplished?
Yeah, you never know for sure until you play the game, and obviously what happens in practice has to translate to the floor. But we had one practice in the middle of that 6 games at the end of the year as we were traveling all over the place. And we've had 3 really good ones this week. And, a big focus has been our defense. But I think more than that is just a renewed energy, a renewed positivity, a renewed set of goals. I think Coach Drew's done a great job of helping us transition into the fourth season, which is what we call the NCAA tournament. And then how can we get the most out of that with our guys really buying in to being a unit and a team again. And hopefully that unity shows itself first on the defensive end, but across the board, we hope it shows itself with a couple wins for sure.
Speaking of defense, and obviously there's been a lot of discussion about the post-pause, and there's been a couple of times when games have gotten away from you. What happened? Did guys get out of rhythm? Were people not maybe as locked in because of the rotations? Because I heard Mark Vidal mention that during the post game on Friday, and others have as well. What did you just get out of whack when it comes to defense? Because it looked like it was so easy and flowing before the pause.
Yeah, I mean, you talk to as many people as anybody, so you've got probably what Daveon thinks is one of the best defenders in the country, what Mark thinks. You've already talked to Coach Tang about it. And certainly the secondary rotations and our ability to control the ball screen, initial action, and then how we rotate and hit afterwards haven't been what they were prior to our pause. And I think it's just got to the point where you can blame the pause, and those are some real things that happened to us. That 3 weeks off was not ideal, especially how we were playing come off that Texas game, especially in the second half at their place. And you could blame some legs, and you can blame the travel, and you can blame the fact that we haven't practiced. But I think at this point, there is no blame left. If you lose, you go home. And I don't know that we're as concerned about pinpointing why as we have been about being solution-focused. I mean, we're more about a growth mindset than we are about kind of describing what happened. And even I asked Daveon what he thought, and he told me, well, all 3 or 4 of those things are true, but at this point it doesn't really matter. We just got to fix it. And there's nothing left to blame. If we lose, we're done. So that's been our mindset, is forget the past, fix it now, and then let everybody know tomorrow that we're back dialed in and ready to go.
And you said no matter what happens in practice or how it looks, it still has to translate, and you're not always sure how it does until you see everything tomorrow against Hartford. How did the players take all that? Did they take it the way you needed them to? Like, well, yeah, let's clear it and look forward?
I mean, there's a handful of coaches for only 13 players for a reason. Because everyone's natural inclination is say, I'm pretty good, I can do this, or you don't need to remind me of that, or there's moments where they think, I got it, I'll do it during the game. And I think that we have said, no, you don't have it, and we're going to do it now. And we've been pretty specific, a little more confrontational, a little more, not in your face, but listen, you're going to show us you can do it now, so we've seen it before we get on TV again. And all that's been real positive. I mean, nothing great happens if there isn't some conflict. Nothing in life gets from good to great if you're not brought out of your comfort zone some. So even Coach Drew challenged the staff that this is time for us to make our guys feel a tad uncomfortable. And then once we got through the first practice and a half, the second practice and a half has been actually much better. So I think that conflict has been a blessing, and we're happy to do it for Coach, and he's been a great leader through it all, and I think our players have now kind of bought in. But not every one of those confrontations was smooth, but they were all good.
I love what I just heard, because that's so true. Does that maybe, because of that maybe guys get even more competitive and maybe even creates another sharper edge?
Yeah, we hope so. I mean, that happened in practice. I can tell you our scout team, we just left practice. Our scout team was unbelievable today. And they were good enough to make our rotation guys really chippy and dialed in and have to really guard on defense. And we played a 4-minute game. And after the 4-minute game, Coach Drew came over and said, that's what we've been looking for. So, again, it doesn't matter unless you do it in public. But nothing great happens in public until you first do it in private. And at least I think the staff, and probably what Coach Tang said to you earlier in the week, at least at this point, the staff feels like we've done enough of it in private, and we're thankful for those 3 practices.
There's a couple of guys on the bench that had been really good this year at times, and sometimes a little up and down. That's why the rotations are what they are. But I spoke with Jerome earlier this week about Adam Flagler, and it seemed like he just wasn't even taking shots. Was it a confidence issue? Was it the moment, which can happen as well? And Matthew Meyer, coming off that great week when you guys clinched the Big 12 title, has kind of not disappeared, but has not been as productive. How important is it? And I'm not just saying names to say names, but the bench, Jonathan, John Machachua coming off the bench. How important is it those guys to give you a lift again?
Yeah, we need them, but we also need to understand that it's one of the most difficult things to do, especially as a young man between 18 and 22 years old, is to come off the bench for a period of 4.5 months. Specifically when you're playing on one of the best teams in the country, because you probably got recruited here because you started your whole life. And then you throw in the fact that we had 3 All-Americans and a pretty good group of starters. It's just hard to know that you're going to score 15 points every game. And every game, different things are going to be asked of you or required of you. And sometimes we go into a game we're dead set on getting the bench involved, and something happens. There's other times where all of a sudden, accidentally, Adam will hit 2 threes, and then we go to him, like the Illinois game, or Iowa State where he had 22 when we were just coming off pause. So some of it's the moment, some of it's the balance of coming off the bench at a young age, and some of it is 1 to 3 of the All-Americans can get hot. The 3 of them can all score 20 points in a game. I think going into the tournament, we've been pretty.
How good is Tracy Carter on defense? You guys have yours. You have yours, and I've heard he's as good as anybody could possibly be. And what you've seen with him as you face them tomorrow.
Yeah, he's a high major athlete. He transferred from Marquette. Really good defender. I know for sure. I don't know who he's going to guard, but he's going to guard one of the guards, Jared or Daveon. And you don't get to the tournament if you don't have good players. And they've got a couple good players. Williams a really good player, top 5 player in that league. But Carter specifically is known for his defense and his ability to score off the dribble on his pull-up. And so I'm sure he's going to give us everything he has. And, this is a big game for them also. Nobody wants to lose and go home. And for us, we're just going to have to be careful. If there's another defender on the floor, maybe we give the ball up if Carter is on us. All those things and those little matchups and the selflessness of how we share the ball will come into play. But he's definitely a good enough defender to make a difference. And he leads them in steals, and it's not even close.
John, one more thing, and we appreciate your time and hope that we'll have more of these to come. The way your team and coaching staff has responded to this week. You're a very experienced team. You're a mature team, and that doesn't always mean that it's easy. But you mentioned more confrontational, chippy, uncomfortable. Is that because you have such an experienced team and they understand the win or go home mentality, and they also understand they can be so good if they get it all done right?
Yeah, some of this just comes down to leadership. And I think Coach Drew set the tone. He met with us as a staff, and then he told the players beforehand. And I think that's just a wonderful way to lead. Scott will be tougher on kids, or will ask us as his assistants to be tougher on kids, but he tells them beforehand. And he explains what's about to happen and what they should expect, and then how we're going to be. And when you tell someone beforehand, maybe the kids don't take it personal. They don't feel like you're attacking them.
Right.
They actually expect it. And this last 3 days, everyone's done a great job. You look around, and everybody on staff, all the players, everyone involved, I think from our bubble to our practice, it's been a really positive time for us. But Coach deserves a lot of credit for the way he describes what it is that he wants. So we do have mature players, and I think we have a great coaching staff, but I just think Scott deserves some credit this week for making it real clear how things are going to go, and I think everyone's followed through, so we're real hopeful.
You ready to go?
Yeah, I hope so. I do hope so. I hear you're going to have Tim Maloney on later in the day. Please tell him That's my old roommate that I love him, and I'm a much better shooter than he is.
I will absolutely bring that up. And you can text me anything else you need me to bring up that he doesn't know I know until I ask him, too. That's good.
No, those two things will be great. He's been a great friend in my life.
John, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Hope to do this again next week. It's been great throughout the year. John Jacobs, Baylor assistant basketball coach on SicEm365 Radio.
You are not going to believe how many things I got from some of the coaches about Tim Maloney, who will join us today, former Baylor assistant coach at 4 o'clock. But coming up next, he was on the staff with Mack Rhoades. Jeremiah Dickey, now the athletic director at Boise State University, will join us here momentarily. Again, we're on till 6 o'clock. Tim Maloney today will join us at 4. We also have Mickey Spagnola, his thoughts about the new NFL TV deal. That's nearly $300 million per team with the new TV deal that we discussed in some ways, and a couple of little nuances with that contract. We'll get to that as well throughout the show today. We're now joined by Boise State athletic director Jeremiah Dickey, a great friend of the shows for as long as he was at Baylor, and he joins Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, and David Smoak. Man, it's great to hear from you.
Hey, I was pumped, and I didn't know Craig was going to be on here. It's good to talk to you guys. I miss you guys.
Well, yeah, you too as well. Jeremiah, what's it like to have your own department? I know it's staff, and everyone else has to be equal and contribute to their own ways, but what's it like now to have and run your own department?
Well, even on the introduction, Smoke, I'm still, the whole thing is surreal. You work so hard for something you set out, and, it was 20 years ago, and you get there, and it's been, everything I thought it would be. I couldn't have asked for, I just watched Mac do his 100 yards with Landry on the field, and I'm so grateful for him and how he prepared me for this role. There's nothing that's in my desk that I wasn't prepared for so far, knock on wood. So I'm grateful.
How often do you say things and you're like, oh, that's Mac? That's Mac and just coming out right now.
So I'm keeping a list of things that, similar to like when you leave home and you know better than your parents, right? And then years later I had to call my dad and say, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't know. And I'm doing the same thing with Mac, but he's busy right now. So he doesn't return my calls as much. He has a lot going on. He's trying to win a championship. So
Jeremiah, you already had to go through a football coaching search. Andy Avalos was your hire, bringing him over from Oregon. What was that experience like? I mean, I know you had been involved in coaching searches previously, but to kind of be the head man in charge there, what was that experience like for you?
Well, having to do it within hours of doing, the first press conference I've ever done was an amazing experience. I was fortunate because I'd been a part of a number of searches and I was doing my research as I was going through the AD search, but to have them run side by side and you see this year, that traditionally doesn't happen. And I think it happened 3 times this year with us, UCF and Tennessee. And it's challenging to say the least, but, we followed our process and we did our due diligence and Andy's amazing. I spoke to Coach Aranda about him and really, really happy to have Andy here. He's everything that I thought he would be, plus more.
Jeremiah, the way things are in college athletics, it's so fluid. You have to have people who understand the core foundation of what collegiate athletics is, but it's so different now, and it gets different every hour. How much fun is it to watch this move, and is it sometimes even a blur and overwhelming?
It is. Specific to, and you're talking, Smoke, specific to this transition for me?
Yeah, the transition for you and just college athletics, the way it's like almost in overdrive. Every day there's something new. There's the name, image, likeness. There's just the transfer stuff that's going on. There's so much now that changes.
No, you're right. And, I think it's something, it's foundational for me now because of someone like Mac. Control, we can control. We just implemented a couple of things that, that Baylor was probably a little bit ahead on from everyone else because of guys like Chad Jackson and Jovan in terms of influencer. And, you control the educational aspect. You control how you're pouring into your student athletes, and some of that other stuff is going to take care of itself. We just have to be prepared for when it happens.
What are the differences, at least on a conference level, a competition level, that you've already encountered between a Baylor and a Boise State?
That's a good question. I think when it comes to resources, that's very, when you look at Boise and the brand, it's so powerful. But at the end of the day, they are not, and we are not in the Power Five. And so there are some resource differences, but I also relate it back to, our mentality at Baylor. We didn't have what maybe Texas or Oklahoma had, but that's still, the expectation was still there to win and to, hold yourself to a high standard. And so we're finding solutions, and I can't say enough about our team there at campus. And, anytime you have essentially a new president, a new football coach, and a new AD, it's amazing when you lock arms and what you can get accomplished.
What's it like, Jeremiah, to see, obviously you were heavily involved in all things Baylor athletics, but the women are obviously in basketball very strong once again. The men are having an incredible year, and the other spring sports are having success as well. Do you kind of just admire from afar now as you see a lot of the people that you used to work alongside going out and having success?
Guys, I'm a fan. I'm following you guys. Are seeing me like your tweets, and I'm all in. I can't say enough about Scott and Kim and the leadership there. And so it's been fun not having maybe that pressure of being a leader there, but being able to watch and enjoy the ride. And I'm so excited for what they're doing. It's amazing, especially in a year like this. And so I've really enjoyed that. And my kids are still Bears. I'm still trying to convince them that they need to start wearing blue, for the sake of my job, but they're all in and so we're enjoying it.
I just received this text from Paul Bradshaw. I asked a couple of different people about maybe a favorite moment or memory with you when you were at Baylor. My favorite moments with J.D., though, this is very deep, with the deep conversations about the world. We rarely talk sports in those discussions. A truly good guy. We miss him, and I miss him. So, and that's kind of more of that fan.
When you look at what we, did, I think Mac's coming up on 5 years this summer, and I had spent about 4. There were some hard days, and you guys experienced that with us, and so it's hard not to develop those relationships. It has to mean more, and it definitely does, and it's nice to see the success and everything they're going through now because they've earned it.
How does coming through something difficult, when you guys got here to Baylor, again, this was not the easiest job in the country to come and take over. It was going to be a challenge. When you step into some place that is just a job opening, they have their own challenges, obviously. Does that make it prepare you a lot better for what's ahead as an athletic director?
Absolutely. There are things that I see now that I probably didn't see when I was at the University of Houston. And so going through that process, that was one of the main reasons that I came to Baylor, but I think I said this, on another show, I went in for the Power Five and experience. I came out a better person, a better Christian and a better father, better husband. And so it was extremely valuable to me. And like I said, there hasn't been anything that I wasn't prepared for when it hit my desk since I've been on the job. And I just can't say enough about Mac and people along the way that have helped me get to this point.
Jeremiah, how difficult was that first year? I mean, we've heard it from Mac before. We've heard it from Matt Rule. We've heard it from, other people along the way. But when you first arrived, I mean, just all of the PR you guys had to battle and just the various things that were going on and swirling. I know that obviously prepared you in a major way, but just what was that experience like? And then to have the opportunity to come out on the other side of it before you departed for Boise State.
It was uncomfortable, when you really don't know what to expect. And I remember that first football season, and Mac and Coach Rule, Doug McNamee, Jovan, we would sit and wait, for that afternoon drop, before a game. And it's, your stomach's just constantly, or at least mine was constantly just turning, because you saw it. You saw what we could be. You saw the things that we were changing and how just the culture of the department and program, they were buying in. And so we knew it was just going to take some time. And so you just kept, one foot in front of the other. And someone like Mac, that's where I learned about culture and leadership and how he was always, just pushing us and the positive, even on our worst day, it's like there was silver lining. And so, yeah, I mean, it gives me goosebumps to see what they're doing now. I mean, it's one of the greatest turnarounds in at least in my career. So,
Jeremiah, usually when someone's hired, there's a honeymoon period. Do ADs get a honeymoon period?
No. Now, anytime you're, I mean, the story of how it all happened is just, and it probably fits right in with my overall path, but, I could not wait to get to the end of the semester and rest. Like everyone, we were exhausted. And so I got 48 hours and I got through Christmas and then I got the call and it was a quick process and you're hiring a coach and then you're trying to, organize your family. And so, no, I can't say enough about my wife and kids and how they've, supported me through this and our staff there. I haven't seen my family in 6 weeks. So I'm actually in Dallas now for the NIT and I'm going to head to Waco tomorrow. So, we're going to, close on the house and pack the truck and, head to Boise. And so it's no honeymoon period.
You're like Leo DiCaprio at the end of Catch Me If You Can. We took the job of the FBI. He was there for 2 minutes and just start stacking files on his desk.
Right. Now I was fortunate. I mean, you can't ask for a better, for a first time AD and I'm realistic. I mean, this was the first time I had interviewed for an AD position. And so, to have this opportunity, and walking into this situation with them and my teammates there, I couldn't ask for anything more. They're in it. They want to do it the right way and we've gotten a lot done. And so, it's, every day is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity and I appreciate that.
What are the challenges you think? You've been at Houston. It was a non-Power 5, obviously elsewhere as well along the way, and now Boise State. What are the challenges that face non-Power 5 schools, and do you feel like the future is bright?
I do feel like the future is bright. One of the biggest challenges is just expectations. When you look at, and it's very similar to Houston. I appreciate you saying that, and so I'm familiar with that process, and the expectations are high. There's an expectation in football that we win 10 plus games every year, and I think the last two, I feel for Andy. I have a lot of faith in him, but the last two coaches, in Pete and Harsh, they went to the Fiesta Bowl their first year. But when you compare from a resource standpoint, it truly is amazing what they've been able to accomplish, and we just got to keep that going. And my hope is with my fundraising experience and revenue generation that we're going to match expectations with resources and then watch out. I have a lot of faith in that process.
Jeremiah Dickey, Boise State Athletic Director, with Mac Rhodes at Baylor, obviously Houston, elsewhere along the way with us on SicEm365 Radio.
How long does it take your eyes to adjust to blue turf in person?
That was like the number one question I got. Am I going to change it? Absolutely not. That's like the greatest, we don't have enough time to go over the history of how we got there, but that's a testament to the innovative thinking of that institution. And in the whole grand scheme of things, they're extremely young. And so them going that route and what it's done for us, and not just football, but all sports and that community has been amazing. And so I have asked, like, is it true that the ducks and geese, there's, in Waco, we go through that cricket apocalypse when all those crickets come in. There it's geese. Like, there are thousands of geese everywhere, but none of them are dive bombing into the turf. So FYI, that is not true.
Okay.
That's good. That's good to know. Speaking about learning the history of the blue turf and all that, what is that like as an athletic director to step into a place where you haven't been before? And like, what's the process of kind of learning the history and what do you feel like you kind of, need to know background wise when you are entering a new university?
Well, first and foremost, Boise State was always something that, coming from UTEP, Akron, and Houston, I was always watching. They are a young institution. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that they were an FCS program, and prior to that, at junior college, and so they've done so much really in a lot less time than most, and so every day I'm meeting with staff in person, and really it's they're trying to get to me, but I'm asking a lot of questions and trying to soak up as much as I possibly can, and I have meetings scheduled out through May, and that's the main point. I don't, I'm not the type of leader to come in and just start changing things. I want to understand, and we don't have to fix what's not broken, but there's probably some things we could do better, and understanding where you come from is an important piece of that process.
Jeremiah, you mentioned a lot sometimes when you spoke, and sometimes you said, well, that's Mac, and that was brought up as well. What, in the end, is the one thing, if it's possible, because I'm sure there's many, and when whoever is underneath your tree that eventually moves on and gets into the athletic department business at a different level, what is the one thing you would say Mac Rhodes taught you?
The people matter. That's I remember at UTEP, one of the things I recognized, and at that point, I was an intern, and I didn't have a lot of access to Mac, but I watched how he treated the custodians. I watched how he treated the security at the games. I watched how he treated the person who swept the floor, at halftime. He knew all their names. He knew their wife's names. I think that's so important. We're not in this industry to, make money. It's about the people, and it's about, preparing champions for life and serving our student athletes and our coaches and our constituents. And that's something that I'll forever thank him for, remember, and hopefully pass on to the people under me.
So can you try to go back a little bit, and you were searching for a football coach in Houston, and you were going to go fly to hire someone. And then you thought you were going to go fly somebody. Mac Rhodes brought this up. Yeah. I don't know.
Of course he did.
Share that with us.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, he got me, Hunter Yurchek, AD at Arkansas. He was a part of that. I wasn't very happy. Long story short, we had, various donors and people helping us in the search with planes, and a lot of information was leaking out. And so that was a topic of conversation, because Mac likes to keep everything very close to the vest. And so, my job in those searches was to help him as much as possible, but ultimately he was the athletic director, and it was his decision. And so I remember him calling me in and saying, I think we're going to go, one direction. And I, at that point, what's funny is I'm like, oh my God, I wouldn't do that, but I'm a good soldier. I'm like, all right, so I'm already thinking about how we can get out in front of how this is going to impact us, because I was over fundraising at that time. And, him and Hunter were in on this. And so we get on this private plane. They have the pilots turn off all the monitors so you don't see where you're going. They say we're going, we had interviewed people all over the country. And so they were saying we were headed to Florida. And we were just there like 24 hours before. So I'm on the plane. They're going back and forth. They're passing around the manual that this guy had given us in terms of him as a candidate. And so the whole time I'm sitting there going, man, I can't believe we're doing this. And when we land, I'm looking at the people outside the plane, and I mean, it's snowing, there's ice. And I'm like, I was just here in Florida. And so it was the most surreal thing, because I was mind screwed, and then as soon as I turned on my phone, I saw one of the candidates that got the job, and that was the guy we were going to supposedly go hire. So I'm like, Mac, thinking I'm trying to help him, not realizing that this is a joke. So my first, really second after the interview interaction with Tom Herman was I walk into this FBO because I'm furious, and Tom sees me across the way, and he says, "Hey, Jeremiah," and I just look at him and walk straight to the bathroom because I'm pissed. And Mac and Hunter are rolling, and so then we have to sit there, and this is like the final, like, "Hey, are you in?" And I was so mad. Now hindsight, I was just being immature, and it was funny. It's one of the greatest. I mean, to think you're flying one way and going a completely different direction, and it was one of the greatest jokes I've ever been a part of. Unfortunately, it was on me.
How many times have you used the need to have a cup of coffee and a caffeine fix the reason why you've been late to a meeting?
I don't know. That's a legitimate reason. I'm an addict, and for instance, I took the red eye last night from Seattle to here. And so I'm exhausted. I'm on an hour's sleep.
Okay.
And, I didn't get enough coffee today. So I have a massive headache. And so it's legitimate. If we want the meeting to go well, I need my coffee.
And we're not helping any by bringing some of this up to you either. Is it true or false that you have road rage?
I wouldn't call it that. Did you ask my wife about that? Is that how you got that?
No. It was somebody who I can't reveal as a source. It was on a trip to Houston with one of the members of the athletic department at Baylor.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I would say I'm more of an offensive driver. Is that a better way of saying it?
There you go.
Look, I love that.
Hey, look, Jeremiah, don't let Smokey ask you about road rage. That's like Ron Wood asking Mick Jagger if he's done drugs. Yeah. I mean, yes. Yeah, it's the same.
Here's the deal. If you've been to Houston, if you're not that way, you won't survive. You won't be able to get on highway. I mean, it's crazy. So
it's like Mad Max.
I adapted.
Yeah.
Here's from Don Rogers. I know you're exhausted, but I got it. Driving to line camp with him and Mac my first few weeks at Baylor. He drives fast. I laugh so much listening to him and Mac chirp at each other.
Yeah, that's par for the course. There's a little bit big brother, little brother going on. Part of it is, I've been with Mac a long time and I've probably picked up some bad habits like being late. And so when you put both of us, in a car and we have to be somewhere, you learn to adapt and make up time on the road. So Dawn, unfortunately for her, that was one of the first times I think she had just gotten to town, and line camp, by the way, is unbelievable if you all haven't done that before. But it was a good experience. But yeah, I think we freaked her out a little bit. It's a lot better when I do it because Mac, will text and drive and call, and it's safer for all if someone else drives.
Can't imagine anyone doing that. And then the memory of Mac and you on the sideline before the Sugar Bowl and realizing where you guys were and where you had come. How much did that moment mean to you?
It meant a lot. I think probably the moment that meant more to us was the year before, when we went to the Texas Bowl, and coming off that 1-win season and everything that we went through. And I love Coach Rule, and he was the right person at the right time. And I remember him and Mac and I talking, and it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel when you're going through the stuff that collectively the institution, everyone was going through. And so I remember never being so happy before in terms of just going to a bowl. And I'll never forget that. It's hard to win, and, this industry is competitive, and, people left us for dead in a lot of ways. And so to do that, and then the following season, get to the Sugar Bowl, it was an amazing run.
How happy are you right now knowing that you still have so much in front of you and you have an opportunity to make a difference at another school?
It was going to take something special to take me away from Waco, and Baylor. I loved my time there. My family loves it. I'm still hoping my wife gets in the car when I go pick them up. They very much enjoyed it. And so to be at a place, like Boise State and having, the opportunities we have ahead of us and just overall as an industry, I thrive in the chaos and you spend your whole career working towards this. And, I don't plan on sitting back and settling. There's a lot of risk in this industry, and we're going to, I'm excited for that. And I'm excited for ultimately what we'll be in a year, 3 years, 5 years. And, it's a challenge, but that's what's driven me my whole career. And so I'm looking forward to it.
Everybody says hi. Everybody's happy for you. We appreciate you jumping on with us, Jeremiah. We wish you the absolute best of luck. Okay.
Hey, thank you guys. I look forward to listening to Javon later. That was, I love those hoodies.
Yeah, no, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, we're going to discuss that. Was kind of under a radar project that she kept pretty quiet.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that as well. I saw you like that as well. Thank you very much, JD.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Jeremiah Dickey, Boise State Athletic Director. And we appreciate the feedback from Don and Jovan and Mac and others, Paul Bradshaw, on what he meant when he was here at Baylor and their memories with him as well. All right, when we come back at 4 o'clock, Tim Maloney, a former Baylor assistant basketball coach. Baylor, of course, tomorrow at 2:30. 24 hours from now, they'll probably be about halftime against Hartford. This is SicEm365 Radio.
March means it's time to celebrate 22 years of serving Waco and Central Texas with big savings on all cars and trucks on the lot at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. All 2021 Buicks have deep discounts. You can save $4,500 on a 2021 Buick Encore. You can save $3,500 on a 2021 Buick Encore GX. You can save $3,500 on a 2021 Buick Envision. You can save $6,000 off a 2021 Buick Enclave, and qualified buyers can get 0% financing for 72 months. If you're looking for the best truck, well, then you're looking for a GMC. You can find savings like $8,000 off a 2021 GMC Sierra, or save $6,500 on 2021 GMC Acadias or GMC Terrains. And Richard Carr Motors is your local family dealer that wants to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, and priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased. So come by the clean and disinfected showroom to take a test drive, or let them bring the test drive to you. Right now during the big basketball tournament, come by and take a shot at the dealership to win additional prizes. It's the big 22-year anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel at the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Butler somehow got by two defenders and...
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
I don't know many people who might have more insight, historical perspective, a Wikipedia of basketball knowledge internationally as well as around what is in the United States, and former Baylor assistant basketball coach Tim Maloney, who joins us now live on SicEm365 Radio with Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, and David Smoak. Tim, man, great to have you on the show. How much do you wish you were with those guys that you've known for so long up in Indianapolis right now?
Well, I feel like I am with them. Those guys have all, been like always teammates and now forever family. So they're a unique bunch, and it's not normal to have that. And so I feel like I'm a part of it. I talk to Scott often. I send him my pictures of me fishing, and I talk to John, Coach Nunez, really everybody, and I'm really excited for them.
You've had, Smokey mentioned, a journey through basketball. I mean, I know of you. I've known of you for a long time. I think when I met you, I mentioned this to you, is that you were the coach at Mariner High School when I was in high school and coached my friend Teddy Dupay. And then you went to Billy Donovan's staff. How did you find your way to Coach Drew?
Well, actually, I coached at the University at Buffalo with Tim Cohen for a year. He was my college coach, and Valpo was our arch rival. But they weren't my arch rival because they were a part of Athletes in Action in the summertime. And so I used to get into great conversations with them, and we started a friendship then. And then really when I was at Florida, a lot of times when we were going over things recruiting-wise, I would run things past Scott in terms of international recruiting, and he was always very helpful to us, and I think vice versa.
What's it like to see the journey that Scott and his staff as well have been on, and to see them reach this point just from the early days of getting to know him and knowing what he inherited, knowing what all the programs had to go through, the disappointments, the ups and downs, to see them have the success they're having? How is that for you?
Well, it's really something to watch in terms of, I think about Baylor University itself, that people would have enough sense and wisdom in knowing that you keep people that are really, really good. And Scott is, a perfect fit for Baylor, as is all of the staff members. And, it's not a surprise to me, that they're doing what they're doing in terms of pouring into the guys, et cetera. I'm just thankful that a lot of shots are going in, because that makes everybody look a whole lot more intelligent. But what he's done with the program, with all of those guys and guys that have been there before, Mark Moorfield, just all the guys that have, poured into it, is amazing. And I'm happy for those guys.
Yeah, Mark's team made the playoffs and won the conference title at UMHB as well recently.
Yep.
Tim, you watch basketball a lot, and you've watched this team, and they haven't been as sharp recently, and we know there's some reasons why, but as John Jacobs said to me today, the excuses are over. You win or you go home. When you watch them, when they have been at their best this year, what do you see and why?
Well, the biggest thing for me, and it sounds trite, but is making shots. I mean, the truth is defense keeps you in games, offense wins games, and rebounding can win you championships. So I know that, in the coaching circles, people oftentimes talk about things defensively. Well, Baylor, has answered that bell, an awful lot. They're a great defensive team. But making shots is
is something that changes the game. You know, you play regardless of what anybody says. If I played somebody one-on-one and I shut them down, they couldn't score. I'd need to score to win the game. So defense is going to keep you in the game. Rebounding gets me more opportunities to shoot the ball, and there's really no such thing as a defensive rebound. Every time you rebound, you're on offense. You may have to cover a different length of the floor rather than catch it in a high foul area, but rebounding gives you possession and an opportunity to score. So what I've seen is a team that Scott has playing very courageously. All the coaches, from Coach New to Coach Tang to Coach Alvin. I mean, what stories within stories? All of these guys pour into them to give them courage, you know, to keep them accountable. And if you listen to the players, that's the thing that separates them, in my opinion. You know, I don't know Teague or Butler or any of those kids. I know Mark Vidal, love him, was involved with recruiting Mayer on campus, love him. But when I listen to all of these guys talk, you know, they give each other credit first, and they point, you know, first and foremost to God. And it's not some trite thing. It's not a fake thing. It's an all-in we thing. So that to me is exciting. You know, like, I don't think anybody controls the scoreboard. You know, if you remember the teams at Mariner, I said that when I came back to this area. I'm coaching at Dunbar now the last 3 years. And the truth be told, nobody controls that. I get that, you know, in the business of things, you know, professionally or at any level, people make it seem as if one person, you know, the coach is responsible, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not one of those that believes that at all. I don't think a coach controls it. I've never seen a coach go out there and take the free throws for guys or make assists for guys or anything. But that coach does facilitate the climate in which great things can happen by keeping people accountable, by having the right people around people. And when you look at Baylor, I mean, I don't see them as doing bad or doing like they've stuttered. I mean, how many ranked teams are in the Big 12? And, you know, they lost 2 games. They've won, 22? Mm-hmm. And then if you couple that with last year, all of the success, if we combine both years and think of a team that's been on top of the food chain of basketball for the last 2 years during a pandemic, during disunity amongst people, then to me, you get excited just thinking these guys have done it the right way.
Scott's always been really good at adapting the style of play to the personnel that is on campus and not recruiting to a style of play, just getting the guys that he thinks are good athletes and morphing it. What's that process like, and what's that like to be a part of when you sit down and go, okay, well, this team's got to be a little bit different because these are the guys that we have?
Well, I think first and foremost, he's going to look for guys that fit Baylor. So not everybody's going to fit Baylor. And I think Baylor's a special place. And so he finds people that he believes can really grow into being a we, that are unselfish, that want to be their best. And he recruits very talented players, the highest, you know, level of the food chain. And they don't have to be guys that people know. You know, it's funny, you recruit to the numbers on recruiting lists and you find out that that's a circus that a lot of clowns play in. I don't know how many of the guys are all on big numbers on anybody's recruiting list, but I know this. I haven't listened to anybody on TV from Fran Vischella to, you know, King McClure or anyone else that hasn't talked about the guard play being the best in the country. So it has to do with recruiting the right kind of person that's actually willing to learn and listen. You know, as a coach, you do 2 things. You teach the game, which clearly that staff does, and you coach the person. And you got to bring in people that you believe can be a part of what you're trying to build each year. And they've done that. I mean, it's past extraordinary.
What were your initial impressions in getting to know and recruiting Mark Vidal, and just what have been your thoughts on seeing his growth over the years and the leader that he is on this basketball team now?
He's a beast. I mean, the kid's a warrior in every way, shape, or form. If we just look at what he dealt with growing up, some of the challenges and adversities that he's been through. And even as a player, it's not like, you know, anything was just handed to him at Baylor. He earned everything, and he's done it with being a total, focused guy on and on doing every little thing, whether it's dunking the ball on somebody, whether it's getting a big rebound, blocking the shot, diving on the floor, walking over to a kid that's having a tough day, like Maya putting his arm around him, early on in that kid's career. He's done everything the right way. So to me, I just love hearing people talk about Mark Vital in the way they do, because he's past deserving. And he's not, for young people, I've listened to Teague, Butler, all these kids, for young people that are athletes, kids in high school, kids younger than high school, guys that are in college. They're great examples of authentically speaking the truth of what it takes to be the best you can possibly be. And they're doing it. And like I said, I'm not one of those, I get that people, all right, let's see the next test, the next game, this and that. That all sounds good. But if I asked you guys, you'd know. But if I asked somebody, hey, who won the NCAA championship in 2009 or 1986, or who won the World Series in 1965? I don't know how many people are going to know. I mean, I'm in the profession, and the times I know who won are times that maybe at Florida, 2006, when I was gone 3 years and they won, and all those guys like Coach Drew and them, keep in touch with you and keep you like family abreast of it. You feel like you're a part of it. But championships go away. They dissipate. But what doesn't go away is the relationships. The relationships are the things that last for a lifetime. I'm not lost on the business of athletics and different things that people have to deal with, business-wise, whether you're a president or an AD at a school. I've been involved with enough championships at a multitude of levels, but man, championships ain't the answer. They're just part of the thing that you're going to try to achieve. It's the relationships. And in that category, the heartboard, Baylor's, batting 1,000.
So are you from Queens or Long Island?
I'm initially from Queens, and then my dad did very well in the industry. He was a comptroller of a company, and he moved the whole family out to Floral Park, which is right on the cusp of Long Island. It's like borders Queens and Nassau, but beautiful place, man. But I loved Ravenswood, Queens, where I grew up. There were no frills.
Tim Maloney, former Baylor assistant coach, with us on SicEm365 Radio.
What's the biggest difference now when you shift back to coaching high school basketball?
No difference. I think there's no difference in terms of what you're teaching. I do think that there's more teaching that you can get done, with kids at this age. But it's not, for me, it's geography. It's, when you talk about coaching, it's coaching the person. So whether, coaching is something that I think everyone does, whether they do it well or not is probably subject to, somebody else's evaluation. But coaching somebody means to encourage them, to point them in the right direction, to be an example to them, to be authentic to them, to find whatever it is that can turn somebody's key on the inside to get them to believe in themselves. And if you can do that, you're coaching. So high school, to me, it's funny. U.B. Brown once said this. He came here and did a clinic in the Mariner days, and he didn't want to take any money. I'd known him from five-star camps, and he said something that sat with all of us. He said, I know a lot of high school coaches that'd be great NBA coaches, but I don't know many NBA coaches that'd be great high school coaches.
Yeah, I can understand that as well. You were a roommate with John Jacobs on road trips. He said that he wanted me to make sure you understood that he's still the better shooter.
Well, I think, this is clear indication that we need to drug test coaches. We definitely need. It's very clear that needs to happen.
But you have a knack for the trick shot. Is that correct? Did you kind of make those up along the way? And how often did you work on those?
Well, I'll just be honest. I loved playing is the most fun thing you'll do with a game. Coaching is not fun. I don't think I ever said when I was playing, hey, let's go to the park and let's coach. It just never happened. Playing is the most fun, but coaching in truth is the most rewarding, and it's the one that now I've done for near 40 years. So to me, it's the one that you really get to be more selfless, and you realize how much of an effect it has on you personally when you see other people succeed. And so I'm just thankful, man, for those guys. I love John. John, I met, in Macedonia. I was coaching Athletes in Action team, and he had run as a head coach a pro team over there, and he turned this program into a winning program in Macedonia. And as you know, his son has autism, and we got into a discussion about it. And then as things would happen, Mike Siegfried, who is the person that used to run all of the tours for us with the AIA and still does, we all talked about John, and he came to Baylor, and what a blessing it's been for Baylor. He went from Baylor to Gonzaga and back. To me, I think all those guys, every single guy in that staff, they're all head coaches, like every single one of them. And the funny thing is, Scott Drew is the head coach, according to obviously the president and the AD, but to Scott, and Scott knows, where it's going to fall on the decision, but he allows for every guy to have a voice and to think and contribute and stuff like that. He's not the Lone Ranger. And I think that's the kind of leader you want in this life. Unfortunately, the world doesn't teach us that much.
Jim Maloney, former Baylor assistant coach, with us now on SicEm365 Radio. Despite the fact that Coach Paul Mills one time spear tackled you in a hotel, are you happy for him at Oral Roberts?
Oh, man. Hey, listen. Paul Mills, hey, listen. That's the only way he could tackle me. But no, I listen. That's another brother, man. I love Paul, and it's not even a thought process of how great a coach he is. I mean, I've been around, Anthony Grant, I think, was Naismith coach last year, Donnie Jones, John Pelfrey, Tommy Ostrom, Adam Ginsberg. I mean, I've been around some great, Travis Ford, great coaches. Paul Mills is second to none. But the best thing he does, in my opinion, is he truly is an example of a faith-based guy. And in some of the most challenging parts of anybody's journey, he's a guy that can keep you centered on what's most important. Love that guy. Yeah. And I'm praying that he does good. And Mac. I love Coach McCaslin. Mm-hmm. I mean, just think of it. They're all Coach Mac, a former player at Baylor, walk-on, gutsy, tough dude. Mills, the same thing. I mean, this is like an abnormal occurrence. But it's unbelievable. It's a story within a story that I think a lot of people really should hear about.
How many times have you gone up to a coach or a player mm-hmm. and brought up some contagious skin rash?
Well, you got to understand, I think it started probably with Billy Donovan. One time we were at Florida. It was when the program was being built. And I know Billy, since, he was a junior in high school. His high school coach was my teammate's dad, and that's how we all got to know one another. I was in college at the time, and I'm watching Billy field all these questions. He's certainly very skilled at it now, and I'm not saying he wasn't skilled then, but I had to have fun. So I'm going in my car, and they're just giving it to him. I said, this guy got to go home. So I go, yo, Billy, hey, the trainer's got that cream for your contagious rash. I know that thing's itchy and is it bleeding? You better get to the trainer. And then I left. You should have seen the reporters first, like Dooley and them. They're looking around like, is this real?
Yeah. I had someone tell me you go on an elevator, you say something to somebody who's on the elevator as it starts to move after they close the doors. A player might be sitting there, maybe talking to somebody, and you walk up and go, hey, did you get that taken care of, that rash, And that everybody that I talk to about you mentioned that you are absolutely, that you're just a bowl of laughs and always a prankster as well. The picture you tweeted the other day, I thought it was a couple of different coaches, but it's Jack Curran, who's in 9 different basketball Hall of Fame from Archbishop Malloy, and Jack Konchalski, a legendary 40-plus year college and high school scout. How much connections and networking do you have from over the years in the history inside your head?
You there?
Do we lose him? All right. We'll try to get Coach Maloney back. There's a couple more questions we'd like to ask him as well. Tim Maloney, former Baylor men's basketball assistant coach. Tim, I was bringing up the picture.
Scout.
Yeah.
He's the greatest scout that ever existed in basketball because he's authentic. He do notes with his hands. He didn't evaluate, listen to anybody's evaluation. He did his own. Everybody that talks about him talk about his character. Just an unbelievable guy. I actually spoke with him the day before he passed, and I would have never known that he was on his deathbed. And then Jack Curran, who coached Kenny Anderson, Kenny Smith, just a host load of great players. I simply worked Coach Curran's camp. It wasn't like, I tried to network. I just loved basketball. I played in college and stuff, and I just, in that area of New York, those guys were, they were just great guys. They were great coach. He was a great coach. Tom Kachowski meet him one time. He will remember your name. He shakes your hand, looks you in the eye, and you don't see him for 10 years, and you're out on a recruiting trail, and he's going, Tim. He sincerely had an investment in people. So I just think time has allowed me to, and I think God has allowed me to be around a boatload of winners. And from all of them that I've ever met, I can never thank anybody enough, and especially the Baylor Bears. I love these guys, and it's not about, that they win their next game. That's all like I hope and pray for, I want that to happen. I think the only thing I tell them is I hope they make shots. I hope we make shots. But I like how they go about their business is more significant than what the end result is. And the end result is all you got to do is talk to kids that have been alumni in that program and or assistants like me. There's still just a high level of enthusiasm and passion for everybody in it.
Sean Hunt, who listens to our show, Sean, he coached your son. Yeah. TJ said he had he was as good a 3-point shooter as he had ever coached in his as a coach. Yeah. Is TJ, how old is TJ now? I don't know that.
TJ just graduated high school. It was funny. He was at Midway playing, and in one of the games, and Sean's kids were on the court. They were playing in a game for Midway, and TJ was running back, and it was incidental, but a kid they tripped up, and TJ fell, and he dislocated his elbow, and he two bone chips, two pieces of bone snapped from his deal and his arm, and it was funny. Sean's kids were all wanted to go back at the kid that was involved with tripping him. I laughed, but it wasn't a laughing matter of what TJ had to go through. He had to have an operation. It was his right arm. And he rehabbed, but he got, God bless him. He, I think from having people like Sean in his life and those kids, he worked his butt off, and he became, he played for me for the last 2 years, and had an unbelievable experience, and could shoot that thing crazy. This year he's been in a junior college in the area taking courses online just because we really didn't want him to. We talked about, if you go away to school now, you might not experience it the way you'd like to experience it. So let's see if we get past this virus. But I have a number of friends that want him to come to their school and play. So we'll see. But that's nice of Sean. Tell him I said hello. We always appreciate him and his wife and kids.
You one time was a story. You and Charlie Melton. He threw a hotel key card at you.
Yes.
And you got You did he get upset or did you get upset?
No, I could flick cards, so I flicked one at him, and Charlie's about, I don't know, he's a pretty big fella, and he looked steamed up, and I say, man, I didn't that, and we became great friends. I don't like Charlie. I love that guy. He's great. When you see him, tell him I said that there's nobody I know of, that I've seen better as a dad than him. He's a great dad.
Final thing is he said this to me about you and the king of one-liners. And today at practice today, Maceo Teague hit a 3 at practice, and he said he's in the building.
Yeah, that's one of them. That would be one of them.
Tim,
do you want to know one? I just want to tell you one more small world thing, Tim.
Please.
I was looking at your schedule, and I don't want to bring up the end of the season, but I think you lost to Lehigh at the end of the year, correct? And it looked like a pretty good game.
We lost by 2 to Lehigh in the district championship, but we went to the playoffs, beat Fort Myers, and then lost to Charlotte, who went to the Final Four. Last year, we beat Lehigh by, I think, 4. They're a tough team, but you know, I was excited to play in the game. It was tough to lose any game, but man, they were deserving, and I think that helped us go. We ended up going further than everybody in the playoffs in Lee County.
Well, look, Tim, if you ever want to get into Lehigh's coach's head, his name's Greg Coleman. I went to high school with him. I know him very, very well. I know every embarrassing story about him for his whole life.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm going to use that now. That's going to happen. But listen, thanks so much for having me on. You guys, you know, you have no idea how much I enjoy, you know, listening and watching these games and knowing what Waco's all about. You guys live in a great place. Baylor's a great place, and you're doing great things. Thanks for remembering me today.
You too, Tim. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Tim Maloney, now in Florida, high school coach. He was at Baylor as an assistant coach. He's been at Iona, UMass, Florida. He was there when they got to a championship game, lost. And, of course, a few years later, as he mentioned with what Billy Donovan was doing, they won it all after he had left, but was a part of that building process. We got to take a break here. We'll come back with Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. His thoughts about this NFL contract. Each team's going to get over $300 million a year. So a question I have, if in fact this was on the table, they knew this was going to happen, why did they then drop the salary cap 8% this year?
Good question.
Yes, that's next with Mickey, and this is SicEm365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. The Pioneer Boys since 1943. How about what they've done, accomplished, and what they continue to accomplish when it comes to heavy building materials, whether it's steel or pipe, whether it's metal buildings or something you're building out in front of let's say you have a ranch and it's an entryway. They can help you with that as well. Metal, steel, pipe, and much more. And they are absolutely as good as it gets. Since 1943, they have survived 77, almost 80 years of whatever the ups and downs have been, and when the economy or whoever is running Congress or whoever's ideas are new or perhaps thinking outside the box. They have never wavered with what matters to them, having the absolute elite, best, numero uno, top-of-the-line product for you to build things. And number 2, making sure that when you walk in the building and when you leave their store in Waco or Bryan, that you think you are the only one in that building. Because you are their customer, and that's how you survive nearly 80 years and thriving, even through the pandemic, even though sometimes some things aren't as available as they used to be because of distribution, and they continue to thrive, building their new facility on the corner of Loop 340 and 12th Street because they're growing. But they will never stop with the 2 things that matter: great product, great customer service. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, the Pioneer Boys at pioneerboys.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available, touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool, upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts, and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
March marks 22 years for Richard Carr Motors. Celebrate with big savings going on now during the anniversary sale event.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
We've sent the nomination forms to area high school counselors for the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, and we will find 20 elite student athletes who excel in both academic and athletic competition from Central Texas high schools. Hello, everyone. This is David Smoak. Our title sponsor is Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. The 2021 Academic All-Stars program is also brought to you by Westdale Asset Management, Englander Design Pack, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Coca-Cola of Waco, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, HEB, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Waco Foundation are 501c3. Nomination deadlines March 31st. We'll eventually announce the team on Monday, May 3rd. Honor them at our annual banquet on Wednesday, May the 19th. It's the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team highlighting the elite student athletes in Central Texas right here on SicEm365 Radio.
Prescott on the keeper, walks in, touchdown, Dallas.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
SicEm365 Radio, Jovan Overshone will join us at 4:45 on the unveiling of some new merchandise that some of you has caught your attention. As she mentioned, it was one of her favorite projects that she did that was kind of under the radar. Jovan will join us today at 4:45. At 5:30 today, as we continue with the real guest list from start to finish. Dan Vasta, he'll join us from bracketmatrix.com on the tournament. We've had him on a handful of times. Katie Stager-Smith, Baylor volleyball, former All-American and now analyst, will join us a little after 5:30. At 5 o'clock a year ago today, how Craig, Paul, and our professional careers changed and where we are 1 year later. We'll get into that at 5 o'clock. Now joined by Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. Mickey, I asked this question as we went to the break. If the owners had this on the table, the networks knew about it, and it's $300+ million, $90 billion, whatever this TV thing is, why then did the salary cap drop 8%, knowing that this was already going to get done?
Well, because it didn't. I don't believe it figured into the money the league made this past season. The salary cap's based on revenue from the previous season. So this wasn't going to figure into it. And because it dropped because there was no attendance or very, very little, and they made very little money. So it's based on total revenue from the previous year. This will kick into next year, and it'll jump it back up, probably $10 million more than what it was
last year. To get a normal increase, if not more. So that's why the cap still fell.
Mickey, your thoughts on some of these deals the Cowboys are making? Again, their strategy normally in free agency is small deals, and that's what they've made. And it looks like they're filling some gaps, especially along the defensive line.
Yeah, I don't know where we start, right? Mm-hmm. They're just kind of nibbling along the way with the two guys that they signed, or at least agreed to terms today, Carlos Watkins and then Brett Urban. But these are just kind of guys. It's nothing that's going to reshape the future of that defensive front. So, and I think, once again, we talk about this all the time when the Cowboys are nibbling and everybody's else giving out big contracts, but they just don't have the salary cap space. And I always hear, you can create it. Well, yeah, you can create it, but you can't create that much. And they've created enough to do what they've done so far. But I think what you have to take into account is you just paid your quarterback probably the most money and anybody signed for in the league, and it counts $22.2 million against the cap this year. You already got big contracts for two of your starting offensive tackles, for the best guard in the league, for one of the best running backs, for one of the best wide receivers, one of the top defensive ends. So when you have to absorb those types of contracts, it's hard to have enough money to go out and say, and I saw somebody write about, the Cowboys, why didn't they sign the Tomlinson defensive tackle from the Giants that the Vikings signed? Well, they signed him to a 2-year, $22 million deal, and he counts $11 million against the cap. Well, they just can't afford that when you're sitting there. You created space, and you had $17 million. $10 million is going to go towards your draft pool, and then you just nibble along with $2 million here, $2 million there, and you're supposed to have $5 to $8 million in a nest egg to be able to take care of any costs during the season. So they just don't have the money to go and get some of these big, high tag guys to bring in to bolster the roster. They've got to do all the little stuff. And, who's your backup quarterback now that Andy Dalton got $10 million from the Bears? Are you going to settle for Garrett Gilbert or Cooper Rush, or do you want a veteran that, might cost $2 million? But that's about all they can afford. They would have loved to have Andy Dalton back, but I was thinking, if they can get him back for $3 million and nobody, sends them out a big deal, you might be able to get him back. But somebody would have to pay him enough to convince him to leave his home here in Dallas and move somewhere. Well, it happened, right? In Chicago, $10 million with an opportunity to make $13 million. I think his good TCU education told him, yeah, I probably ought to take that, right?
Mickey, your thoughts on Cheeto Awuzie heading to Cincinnati and Jordan Lewis re-up into a 3-year deal?
Yeah, I hated to see Cheeto go. I know a lot of people get on him because he doesn't have enough interceptions, this and that, but I think he's talented. And I think the hope here was, he only played 8 games. He missed 7 games, injuries. He had a COVID-related absence from contact tracing. And I was thinking, if they can just get him back on a 1-year deal to prove himself, right? That he might do that to reestablish next year his market value. But no, that didn't work out, and it just shows you what other teams value some of your guys, with Cincinnati signing him to a $21.75 million deal over 3 years. Got priced out of the market. They were able to re-sign Jordan Lewis, and I know it's a 3-year deal, $13.5 million. But the key thing is, what does he count against the salary cap this year? And his cap hits $2.6 million. So those are the type of deals the Cowboys have to do to be able to get enough guys to be able to, suit up a 53-man roster.
Mickey, the patience. There's guys out there, and there's money that's being thrown out left and right. It has not been as much of a complete meat market as it has been in the past. And is it also because of the fact that the cap was less, and that people are trying to not overwhelm themselves with these contracts with crazy numbers? There's maybe some you can look at, but it seemed like across the board, people have been somewhat at least calm.
Yeah, I think there's maybe a half dozen teams out there, maybe 8, no more than 10, that had money to spend with the cap going down. And, you have to understand how teams structure their salary cap and how they structure contracts, because they structure the base salaries with the idea that the salary cap's going to go up. So if it goes up $10 million each year, at least, which it had since they last went down in 2011, then you can say, okay, the next year's base salary can do this, and this guy's can go and do that. And so you base those projections on what you feel like is going to happen with the cap. But when the cap goes down, those base salaries don't go down. And that's why, David, you've seen a lot of guys get released. And I also thought a lot of those maybe bigger name free agents out there that are used to making big bucks, might decide, hey, I would rather take a 1-year prove-it deal and reestablish my market value so I could cash in next year instead of signing like a 3-year deal that is not commensurate with my talent. And so I think you're seeing that. And I think as we go, we'll see more 1-year prove-it deals, which will allow guys to enter back into free agency next year and take advantage of that money you opened with me talking about the TV contract. And so teams will have more money to spend, and then obviously guys will go, oh, I could ask for more. So, this day and age, unless you're a quarterback or you're a perennial Pro Bowler, you're probably not going to get that big payday.
Mickey, can they get some of those prove-it deals done for some linebackers? It seems like there's kind of a wasteland at that position after the starters.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you said starters. I would say the 2 starters, right? Because after that, there's really nothing much to talk about. When you consider Luke Gifford is one of the guys, and Bernard Francis is the other guy, and there's no other linebackers that they can sink their teeth in other than Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith. So, I would imagine. See, and so here's how tight it is, you guys. They like Joe Thomas as a versatile backup, can play all 3 positions, can play special teams. He played last year for like $1.1 million, right? Well, he ends up signing with Houston for $2.2 million. It's only $1 million more. But when you're that close to the cap, every million counts. They liked him, but it was like, no, we can't afford that. We can afford $1 million for you. And these guys, when you're in that part of your career and you're a backup, to them, every million counts too. But yes, and that's why I've been kind of saying that this draft is going to be very important from the linebacker position. And everybody's just assuming they're going to take a corner with that first pick at number 10. And I'm saying, well, what if there's a really good linebacker available there? Would you do that? And I think there will be with Micah Parsons from Penn State, pretty good athlete. He only played 2 years, though, and opted out last year. So that's another layer of evaluation you have to consider when going into the draft. But no, you're exactly right. And to me, backup quarterback. You don't have Andy Dalton. What are you going to do? And now linebacker kind of jumps up there along with the cornerback position because of losing Chidobe Awuzie, who was a 4-year starter for you.
Mickey, thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Mickey Spagnola with us Thursdays at 4:30. Kind of a dig into the NFL contract. If you didn't hear, $90 billion. A lot of changes. We'll try to touch on some of those today in the 5 o'clock hour. We will have Jovan Overshone. She's going to join us next, External Affairs Associate AD at Baylor, on that the release of the merchandise that Armstrong has put up on the screen. Tell us about it. What does it mean? How much has this been in play? She discussed it with me and said, most secretive and favorite project of the year. That's next with Jovan on SicEm365 Radio.
If you are looking to sell your home or you're looking to buy a new one, call my buddy Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty, 254-214-3713. And look, Lance describes himself as a guy with a unique perspective, and that's completely true about him. That's a very good self-assessment. He's a unique perspective on everything, and that's going to help him find your dream home. Whether it's, you want to upsize or downsize or whatever you want, he's probably already got something in mind by the time he talks to you for about 2 minutes, and he's going to listen to everything he has to say. He's very interested in getting to know people and getting to know them well. That's what he does, and that's why he's so great at his job. So give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
Ram Truck Month means special pricing on new Ram trucks at Allen Samuels. The 3P Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, has special values up to $7,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, for the 3-time Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab. Ram Truck Month is going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Jovan Overshone is someone that, you heard what Jeremiah Dickey said about her, even despite what she gave me on Jeremiah Dickey, right, Paul and Craig? Yeah. But she is the secret weapon that's not so secret at Baylor Athletics, and she now joins us right now on SicEm365 Radio, the Senior Associate AD External Affairs. Jovan, how you been?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to put Armstrong. We got the picture of the limited edition Energy Play capsule collection, which just blew up yesterday. And then you told me it's the most secretive and favorite project all year. Tell us how this kind of came about and how long you've been working on it.
Yeah, I mean, first, I've got to give major props to my team. We have some phenomenal people at Baylor that just make crazy things happen. And when I say my team, I'm adopting Jeff Barlow and equipment as part of that. But yeah, man, we have some really incredible people that just love to do special things. But no, I mean, to answer your question, gosh, how could we not do something cool? This has just been such an incredible and historic time for Baylor basketball. I mean, collectively, both programs, I mean, first time in 24 years the schools won both the men's and women's Big 12 titles. The first time both teams have been top 2 seeds in an NCAA tournament. Like, it's just a really cool time. And we thought that was a clear opportunity to do something special for, not only our teams, but, our incredible fan base. These are two programs that people, just people really love and support, and we're just so grateful for it.
How hard was it to keep it a secret? I mean, you keeping a secret about designs, like, nobody prints it out to just show it and you get to look at it. Like, to keep that a secret for a long time, how difficult was that?
Well, there's always a few glitches along the way that you hope no one notices. But no, internally, I think the hardest piece was not talking to the programs about it, until we knew that it could happen, because there are a lot of logistical pieces to getting something to retail. And the bookstore and even our local partner here in the Hole in the Roof have just been incredible and working with us and quietly, putting this project together. So I think just not sharing it with the teams was probably the hardest piece of it.
So, Jovan, do you reach out to Nike or how does that process kind of start?
Well, it's really funny. So when we did the rebrand, obviously we wanted to do something true to who we are with the Baylor green and gold. But the Volt was always this special moment. We reintroduced it again to our brand as an energy play color. And basically it means it's reserved for special moments, key energy moments for any of our teams, which obviously we felt this was one of those moments. Our teams aren't able to use that color more than 20% in any game if they have a jersey that's in that color palette. Our licensed vendors aren't able to use it. So, we really took the nod from Nike that, hey, this is something special. So we worked with a partner, a Nike partner, in BCS, and they were helped us source products. And but internally, our team here, Joe Gonzalez, put the art together. It was a lot of just on the ground work to put this together, and we really had just good guidance from Nike from our original gig rebrand project. So we knew how to apply this in a way that made sense.
The Sailor Bear is it can be a lightning rod. It could be something that people are just, it's a big deal, as you know, because of what you studied and know about the history and tradition, what Baylor fans like. What is it? What is the Sailor Bear value, in your opinion, and the use of it and being able to launch that with this?
Sailor Bear is just beloved. I don't know if I should say that. He's one of my favorites. I love our current branding, but, we never want to see Sailor Bear go away. So we actually have, he's more exclusive. We've developed this college vault program, and we've essentially put him away So you only pull him out. So like the Volt is only used in special moments, Sailor Bear is also only pulled out to be used in special moments like homecoming, and only a few licensees can even print or utilize that mark. So he's even more exclusive and special now than what the affinity the Baylor family has already associated with them. So, it was kind of a nod to a moment of nostalgia and bringing him out again, but then also kind of refreshing him with the, current branding and just kind of a fun pop. So, which again made it even more special to provide something to our fans and our team.
So Sailor Bear's exclusive and the Volt's exclusive. So this is like a double super exclusive, Jovan, having the Volt Sailor Bear. Yeah.
It sounds like the way that Disney used to do their movie, like when you used to be able to buy a movie, they would like release it, but you can buy Snow White, but only from like April to June 1st. Kind of a thing. You got it. Yeah.
There you go. That's our brand.
Let me tell you something. I went on yesterday, the premium section for our site, SicEm365, and there was Chris Fuentes, who's a huge basketball fan, said, go now, ... And he put up a link to the merchandise.
He might have bought them all out, though.
And then
let's be honest.
And then he said, for those hesitant to click, I'm not wasting your time, and it's the hoodie with the Sailor Bear. And, of course, it's kind of in Baylor terms as far as Baylor fans went viral. So my question is, did this sell out? Is there anything left for anyone to buy?
This is when having great partners really comes in handy. So we actually did. We sold out of most sizes, actually, in a couple of the products. And the bookstore, being phenomenal, they actually placed a second order. So there's no need to fret. There's a second round of orders coming in soon that'll be in stock.
So now they can start. Is there a waiting list?
Yes, you can actually still order. So the website it can be a little tricky. So it will say back ordered on certain sizes, but you can go ahead and place a pre-order, and that will allow you to get the product when it comes in. And they're constantly loading new product as it comes in. I know they're getting shipments into the store. There's some pieces that are actually out on the floor right now. But it will be limited. So it won't be available, post-tournament. So post the entire NCAA tournament. So we're excited about it.
Yeah, the Baylor Bookstore has done a good job. I've seen them tweet a few times about just trying to keep people updated and let them know how to get stuff. So they're trying to do their part. But yeah, I advise anybody if they can get over there. Obviously, a very popular piece of merchandise. I mean, Jovan, I'd imagine you usually got a smile on your face, but a big smile just because of how much people seem to have liked this project and how successful it's already been. Just launching it yesterday.
Yeah, I think it's always fun when you're able to do something that you feel is somewhat rewarding or just recognizing your fan base. My team and I we couldn't do what we do without the support of the Baylor family. So it's just so cool to see some excitement. What we're seeing out on the floor, the product that the basketball teams have put out is phenomenal in itself. So to get some extra momentum around that, it's just fun. And I'll tell you what's even more neat is to see this color palette carried across both programs like it is. I think it's just a great representation of, the collective support and excitement around this time. So that's made it even more special.
How proud are you of Billy, your husband, now the head football coach at Riker?
He's okay. No, Waco's been so good to us. We're just so blessed, and he's going to do incredible there. We're just so excited, so excited.
One more thing, we had Jeremiah on, and I got a lot of feedback on him. So, how was that road trip to Houston?
He probably doesn't even remember it.
No!
We just sat there terrified.
Don Rogers, who is the liaison for men's basketball, sent me a tweet, a text, and said the same thing about his driving habits. So, yeah. I
don't even know if we were in the car at the same time on that trip. I don't think so, but collective memory.
Hey, Jovan, incredible stuff. This was an absolute, what looks like a grand slam for Baylor fans who want to be a part of this, and thank you very much for your time, and congratulations on keeping that kind of under the hood, and then all of a sudden, pop, there it is, and people loved it. They loved it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jovan Overshown, again with us on SicEm365 Radio, Senior Associate AD External Affairs at Baylor. And she was the one behind the reveal of all the new, the uniforms and that and all the changes with Nike. And not all that was popular. It never is with fan bases. But she was the one behind the branding of that as well. And that's part of many things that she does.
I think, the initial reactions to the uniforms, people were just so in love with that previous set in football because of all the combinations and all the non-school colors that were used. I mean, they had like every combo that had no green and gold in it you could have, basically. But I think, with the success they had 2 years ago in football, bringing the Sailor Barrel helmet out on a couple of occasions, I think people have warmed up to the threads across pretty much all the brands and are enjoying those now. It's that first reaction, it's difference, not always taken well at first, but point being is, I think that's grown on people, just the green and gold, but the way they've been able to incorporate some of the alternative stuff, like the Sailor Bear usage has been good as well to kind of expand it even more. And they've carved out, their own identity. No, it's not chrome gold anymore, but, that kind of just became, everybody had that, after a couple years. Everybody, like San Diego State or whoever's wearing like chrome red helmets. And so they had an identity before, and then a bunch of people latched onto it. They were the team that wore the crazy uniforms, and then everybody had them. And now I think they've carved out a cool identity of, they're green and gold, but they've also, like in basketball, have got the Volt option, that both teams can wear on occasion, or the gray, the gray and Volt. And I think it's cool. I think it's cool to have little touches like that in your sports program. So I think the whole Nike thing has worked out really well here over the last couple of years.
When we come back, the 5 o'clock hour at 5:25, Dan Vosta from BracketMatrix.com and his thoughts on the tournament, which has begun. Mount St. Mary's leads Texas Southern at halftime, 30-20. The winner will get Michigan. Katie Stager-Smith, Baylor former All-American volleyball player and color analyst, will join us at the end of the 5 o'clock hour. Paul's 5 at 5:55. But coming up next, we haven't really said much about it, and we're not going to say too much, but a year ago today, our professional lives, the three of us, those who you see right here, Paul and Craig and me, right here on the set, a year ago today, our professional lives changed. And where we are a year later, and what that day actually truly meant. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old, and they come every 6 months, and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm, welcome home.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Teague hits another three. He already has 3 triples.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
I received a direct message from David Carter, and it was back on March the 16th in the evening, and I think that would have been a Sunday. I believe that would have been a Sunday. Am I right? No, it would have been. Was it a Sunday or a Monday?
What, 2 days ago?
Yeah, no, a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
David, I heard your comments about how the radio show may be impacted. I heard your heart. I am a couple of years older than you are and suspect I may soon be furloughed myself. None of us know, but please know, while I do not know you personally, I'm praying for you. My hope is in Christ, and I pray the same for you. I had been fighting the fight because of what we did on the radio, because of the family we had at the radio station, because of the journey that started in June of 2010 when Paul was already there, to many people along the way, and Craig joined us in the spring of 2013 and was with us as well. But, the pandemic was coming through the state. Things were not good in ways of which we kept fighting off changes with our programming. And I have always been someone that I always feel like you should fight for whoever you possibly can. Doesn't mean you're right. Doesn't mean you're going to win. But on March the 17th, I sat in the office with the owner of the radio station. And I'm going to try to do this in a way that's just to give you a story of why we are here where we are today. Because SicEm365 Radio did not exist on the air until April the 6th of last year. So I had a meeting. And in that meeting, I was told, and I had been told many times before, that we had to cut people back. We had to fire people, that we had to get rid of people. And I'm sorry. I don't have that much in me. I know there's some people that can do that. I can't, especially when I know they're good people. But I was told we had to get rid of 4 people. 2 of them are to my right and left. And so that night, I went to bed. But before I did, I sent an email from everything I had to try to, kick the can down the road or something. Sent an email to the ownership and said, could we please try and figure some other ways out? Paul was gone. Paul mentally had already told me, man, if people have to go, I need to go. Craig was already kind of in a mode as well.
Hell, I offered multiple times to be the guy to go. I did.
I'll tell a story in a second.
But so I sent an email just to kind of, Craig's my son. Paul's, I don't know what we are, a love-hate relationship that we have, but we've worked together since June of 2010. I sent the email. I woke up the next morning to an email that I received about get your ass in the office, and it might have that might be the best way to put it. That morning, I was told that I had no other choices, that I couldn't throw anybody that was overboard. I couldn't get them back in the boat. And it looked like we were, as a station, going to move forward with maybe 3 or 4 people. And so at noon, ownership called me in the conference room along with 4 people, 2 of them to my right and left, and they were fired. And they were told to, file unemployment. They were told that a lot of things have to do with the pandemic and all that. So I went to my office and I put out a tweet, and I wish I could find it. I probably should have found it. And I'll try to let Craig and Paul then say what they want. And I basically said, we are going through some changes. Sometimes you win battles and sometimes you don't, and we've lost some battles today. People can sit there and go, that was airing dirty laundry is what I was told later that afternoon. No, I was telling you, the customer, just like we do every day here or anywhere, that you are the customer who listen to what we do. And now we get to see and watch what we do. And our sponsors are trying to reach you. So you are important, and we've always tried to give that to you. Well, I was told I should not air laundry, that I aired laundry. A tweet got me fired.
Yeah, well,
at 3 o'clock that afternoon.
When a show doesn't air where it's been airing for like 7 years, people are going to have questions. So all you were doing was answering the question of why all of a sudden a show that's been on from 12 to 3 for like 7 years has national programming. People are going to be like, hey, what's going on over there?
And I was
wasn't a game or anything. It was just a random Wednesday afternoon or whatever.
We aren't doing the show. We may not do the show for a couple hours. We may not do the show at 3. I had made the decision I wasn't going to go on the air at 3. I had just seen 4 people fired, and my son, one of them. And so I came back to the station. I was told to get back to the station. One of the stories was a car dealership had canceled their advertising. It was because of the pandemic, but there was a comment in there about, and also the possible changes with your programming. So that was taken as something as if what I said on Twitter forced the cancellation. That car dealership, and I spoke the next day and completely said that night, that's not what we were doing. We were pushing things back because of the pandemic. Well, they're a sponsor of the show, Richard Carr, immediately from the beginning of when we started. So I just, it's been a year. A lot of you didn't really know the story. All I know is that the last year professionally, what we've been able to do, what we from top to bottom have been able to do has been an amazing 365 days. I don't know if I've ever had a more fun year professionally in my life.
Yeah, outside of getting to kind of cover stuff like we used to, because of the pandemic, it's been great. And when it goes back to being fired, about a month before that even happened, or maybe, about a month and a half, the owner was saying, we've got to fire somebody tomorrow. And so you and I had sat, we'd gone through, how much time, now it looks time wasted on figuring out how we were going to save the staff and all this stuff that we did. And I said, you know what? Let's just make it me. Let's just make it me. I will go in there. I'm kind of fed up with all this. I'm kind of tired of going into a room being called a bleeping idiot and all these different things. So I was like, you know what? Let's just make it me. And I was made to sit in a meeting with the owner for about 2.5 hours just to show that he could. And then he sent me back, and we did the show that day. It was the most bizarre thing that ever happened. And I was in there forever, ever and ever and ever. And so then I had interviewed in another city and was trying to find another job. So then, like I told you, that week, I was like, look, if it's got to be somebody, just make it me. Like, please just include me in this. Like, I'm not mad about it at all. I need to be released. There it is. He found it. So
this is the tweet from a year ago today that I put up.
So I was ready to go. And it was one of those things where driving out of the parking lot that day, I remember being sad because I thought I may never work with Smokey and Craig again and some of these other people. And, that's the end of an era. But then this sense of relief of the future is certainly going to be better. And then, 3-4 days later, the future was here. So.
Y'all really want me with an open mic?
No, just be classy.
I will be. I've made no bones about how I was ready to leave there and had offered up a couple times to be the one to leave like Paul did, but I had done it over the span of like a year, probably 3-4 different occasions because that's what we were dealing with was like every month, every other month it was some new thing that, hey, we got to change this, we got to change that, which is fine. Yeah, you run a company, you run it the way you want to do it, whatever. But things clearly weren't great, and I was ready to bow out and just didn't want to do what we were doing anymore, the way we were doing it and how we were doing it. And for the person that we were doing it for, I didn't want to do that anymore. No respect there at all, none for that person. So, it was to me, like Paul, it was a relief. Like, there were questions, there was uncertainty. I had a pretty good idea that I was going to be able to do something with SicEm365 in some capacity, but didn't know, what exactly that was going to be. So I'm very thankful for Colton, Brian, and Ashley and everybody over there for always being there, and never had a dream in my mind. Like, I was ready to leave radio. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew that even if I didn't know what I was going to do, it was going to be better than what I was doing. That's what I knew, and that's been confirmed 100%. And this has been so much better in every way, shape, or form. I hated for a long time there just walking into a building. You just don't, like, it's always tension, and you just like, it just, I don't know. I didn't like the anxiety and all that stuff that came with it. And I'm just thankful for how it worked out. I know you look back on it and like you take it personally or whatever. And everybody's going to take it differently, but I had a big feeling of relief that day, and I never in a million years could have imagined that it would have turned out as well as it did. So I'm glad to still be, working with both of you guys. I'm glad that we got to meet Armstrong and Jack and, everybody else that's, been a part of the team, Deontay going way back, and many others that have been a part of it. So, from Paul's, second floor to these studios, these brilliant studios that, none of this really even existed a year ago. And
this building wasn't.
Yeah, they're part of the foundation.
This whole corner didn't even really exist a year ago. And now there's like 4 different apartment complexes, and there's this big neon East Waco sign, and there's like all this stuff going on, and we're right in the middle of it, and we're right down the road from McLean Stadium. So I've got a lot more in the can, and I know there's a lot more that I can do. I know there's a lot more that we can all do, but we're having fun doing what we're doing and excited about the fact that there's not really any restraints. We don't like wake up like, oh God, got to go to work today. And that's so nice. It's such a freeing feeling to actually look forward to doing what you do. So I'm thankful for how it all worked out.
We were doing the show in my house, and I knew every day for 4 hours I was going to have people in my house, and for not knowing how long exactly that was going to be. And at no point did that stress me out. Yeah. Like, sometimes you get stressed out when company comes over. I've not had one single day on this job that has stressed me out 1% as close to the last one. So it's been great. And we have, Brian and Ashley and Colt to thank for that. And it's weird to think like, they had this idea in their heads, and then like these two things just, collided.
What was great about it is a decision made because of that tweet and other decisions that were made as well. From somebody that did give me a chance back in June of 2010. And I loved it, and I gave everything I had to that job for over a decade, from revenue to programming to hours to all of that. That's what I do. But created immediate competition in the market where there was none. And we are rolling with our sponsors. We are rolling with the thousands of you that we can document every day who watch and listen to us, and then even some of the podcasts that we recycle throughout the app and also on the website.
I'll say this. On the one hand, it's funny that the reasons we were told at the time for why we were being fired, only to like 2 weeks later see that the staff had actually expanded in our absence, which was funny because of the reasons we were told we were being fired. So that was a lie, and I knew it was a lie at the time because that's all that guy does, and sure enough was proven right that it was a lie 2 weeks later. But we've done all this, and Brian Ashley Cole leading the charge, all this during the pandemic. Like, we haven't even been able to open up the studio like we would even like to people. We've had an occasional guest in here, but it's nothing what it's going to be like if normalcy returns in some capacity, because there's going to be a lot more traffic in here. There's going to be a lot more, going on. And yeah, we've done all this and built, this all along the way over the last year during the pandemic.
Yeah, for them to have the guts to go like, look, just talk about whatever the hell you want to talk about until there's sports again. Here's what you have to do, because we didn't know when there was going to be sports again.
Right.
We had no idea. So we had to just sit for a few months. I remember the day that I turned baseball on in the afternoon in the NBA. in my house thinking like, man, this is great. Something's going on. I mean, we're watching like the Timberwolves and the Clippers, a game I wouldn't have watched in a million years.
Yeah, we didn't have sports for like the first couple months, and then eventually, I guess, baseball and stuff slowly started to kind of come back. But yeah, we're just interviewing Hall of Famers and trying to talk about whatever we could talk about, which is a lot of coronavirus stuff there initially. But I mean, yeah, we've had a great journey. Like, can't thank the listeners enough. I mean, you guys have been so supportive and really there from the very beginning. There's been a lot of new people that have joined along the way as well, and just ask that you keep spreading the word. But I mean, we're in it for the right reasons. I can say that about all of us, everybody involved with SicEm365, and just very thankful for all of the support over the last year and all the people who have been a part of it. But no, I mean, it's not something I dwell on. I know it's like it's been 1 year, so we're talking about it, but couldn't have worked out any better and couldn't be more thankful.
So Stephen just sent us a text who's become almost like someone else who's a part of the family. I'll say this. Last night there was a young man who's a photographer in Austin, Texas, named Anthony Geronimo. Oh. He was let go because of numbers. He's a great guy. Yeah. Wow. He was let go because of layoffs. And so I sent him a note yesterday on a direct message, and I tried to explain to him, because of the timing, and the outpouring of people who are trying to help him is massive. But I said, sometimes what looks like could be a dark cloud could actually be a silver lining. You're too talented and you're too good. You will not be where you are for long. And he will be picked up by somebody. And so that's a message. That's a message to everybody, that sometimes when you're at your darkest moment or whatever, whether it's professionally or what, that there is always another way, and there's always something that comes good out of it. So that's the way it is.
No bigger cheerleader for the city of Austin than Ant Geronimo, honestly, for everything that's Austin. And again, Ant's going to, like, I'm telling you, that guy's going to fall on his feet. Land on his feet, kind of like we did, really fast, because
it'll be at the Longer Network.
It'll be. I mean,
Daniel
awesome.
Turned out to be a great thing, right? I'm actually happy you all were fired. Sounds terrible, I know. I like the concept of 365, SicEm365 much better. You know, I debated whether we should talk about it. We really never have, and so I thought, with it being March the 18th, today's kind of a celebration in a way, because of where we are 365 days later. There's some good people that still work at various places, but when that happened, basically lifelines were cut, and that's unfortunate as well. Coming up next, we'll have Mr. Vosta. Dan Vosta will talk about matrix and analytics and the NCAA tournament. And then also Katie Stager-Smith, volleyball All-American at Baylor, their color analyst. She will join us as Baylor has a match tonight against Houston, I think it is, and then Rice tomorrow. This is SicEm365 Radio.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs. Knowing you, that's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
During the President's Day event, Allen Samuels has special pricing on a new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited with values up to $3,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $1,000 in combo cash. Or a 2021 Jeep Cherokee. The new Latitude Plus has up to $6,000 in total values or 0% interest for 72 months and $1,250 in combo cash. Allen Samuels award-winning customer service. The best place to find your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements. Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's the 22nd year anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
We were introduced to Dan Vossa from BracketMatrix.com just recently during the basketball season. He follows bracketology, weekly bracketology, also at Take Cover Pod. Among many things, a good sports fan and loves the numbers. And Dan now joins us on SicEm365 Radio. And I saw this tweet about a day ago. Was lucky enough to finish inside the top 20 among 203 bracketologists. This season was top 10 for those under 3 years posted on BracketMatrix.com. Dan, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. So when you look at the numbers, you crunch everything. Who is the most vulnerable number one seed in your opinion?
Yeah, great to be on again with you guys. I think certainly look at the East region. Number one, that region looks like it could be the toughest. And Michigan, of all the 4-1s, they're looking clearly like they're the weakest of the bunch. Plus, they're not 100% healthy if Isaiah Livers doesn't play or isn't close to 100%. If they were to get past the first weekend, which you could say it's likely but not a guarantee, there's a good chance that they'll probably be bounced before that Elite Eight matchup. All the other ones, I think, got a pretty good shot to at least get to the Sweet 16, if not farther, perhaps Elite Eight and beyond. But Michigan in the East, they've been inconsistent. The guard play, I think, is fairly respectable. But you got a freshman big, Hunter Dickinson. You worry about foul trouble there. The depth is not quite as good. But the outside shooting, a little too reliable. They need Franz Wagner and Eli Brooks to really bail them out and have a big this upcoming weekend and then beyond. They go farther than the other 3-1s, which many people believe, entering the tournament at least, are far and away the top 3-1 seeds. And I did have Michigan being my final 1 seed going to Selection Sunday. So now we'll let the games begin and see how it plays out. But Michigan looking like the weakest right now.
Of the 3 seeds and below, is there anybody you think has a good path or a reasonable shot at the Final Four?
Yeah, I certainly do. I actually believe that Texas, I think, has about as good as a path as you can get for a 3 seed. Certainly, they're going to have to split a couple games out, but I feel like they're pretty comfortable getting past this first weekend here. Certainly, Abilene Christian and whoever they play, whether it's BYU or the UCLA-Michigan State winner tonight, I think the Longhorns are a safe pick to get to the Sweet 16, and I think they'll get past Alabama if they do reach past UConn and Maryland. And I think they're actually going to be favored, perhaps, over the likes of maybe even Michigan, but I think Florida State personally has a good shot to meet them in the Elite Eight. I think the Burnt Orange have a very respectable chance to get to the Final Four. They look like clearly the top 3 seed. Of course, they just won the Big 12 tournament. I thought they were a top 2 or 3 team in the Big 12 for at least a good majority of the downside the last week or two plus.
What do you think about those who Baylor might face? I mean, obviously Hartford's up first, and they're a pretty heavy favorite there. But then North Carolina, Wisconsin, you also got Villanova in that bracket among some others. Ohio State. Your thoughts on that South region?
Yeah, I think the South is not a cakewalk by any means. You have lots of very respectable Hall of Fame coaches. Roy Williams has never lost. Maybe it's going to happen this year, but he's never lost a game in the round of 64. So maybe that happens Friday night against the Badgers. I don't think it will. So I think Carolina potentially could give Baylor some issues, which some people believe is really on the backboard. I think overall, I still have lots of respect for Mark Vital. I know he hasn't quite the 7-footer that we see a lot of power forwards play, but I think North Carolina, arguably the best rebounding team. They lead the country in offensive rebounds and rebound margin. And they think their best play sometimes, guys, is just throwing the ball up, avoiding the turnover, and getting the second and third look, which are often put back dunks and tips. So I think they give them Baylor that is a big issue because they have 4 legit bigs that at least 3 of them are going to play in the NBA. Baycott is a stud. Sharp's probably a future lottery pick if he comes back next year. And Walker Kessler could be there. He could be that 3 or 4 year guy that many folks do not enjoy watching because of how much he gives problems and fits the opposition. So Carolina's a problem, I think, for them. They're around 32. But ultimately, it really comes down to, can Baylor avoid a dreadful performance from deep? We saw it against Oklahoma State where they couldn't connect much from three-point territory. I'm expecting the defense and the senior leadership and the experience to step up for the Bears. So I still like their path overall. But Carolina, Purdue, and then ultimately likely Ohio State or perhaps Arkansas, that's going to give them all problems. But I think Baylor, if they can play well from their guards with Teague and Butler, and I think Daveon Mitchell, who's arguably the best perimeter defender in the country, those guys can just relatively play their B-plus games. I see no reason why they should not have an excellent chance to win the South region and get to the Final Four.
Mount St. Mary's 37-31 with 13 minutes left over Texas Southern. Drake in their game with Wichita State, a couple of 11 seeds, has just tipped off. I saw a note. You mentioned North Carolina, Roy Williams in the first round of 64. I saw a note earlier. Wisconsin, in the history of their basketball program, has a record at Hinkle Fieldhouse of 4-28. I don't know the last time they played there. I don't know when, but do you get into that stuff, Dan? Does that make a difference when you see those kind of things?
Certainly when I'm predicting brackets, but in terms of, projecting the seeds, obviously not so much there. But when you're looking at projecting these games, looking ahead, I think it's certainly a reality. Wisconsin struggled to score and shoot the ball as well. And you've seen a lot of teams. There are different rims. I always say that NC State, Raleigh, North Carolina, where Steph Curry eventually won his first 2 games in his final year at Davidson, you just throw the ball up there, it's going to bounce in. There's certain rims like Hinkle Fieldhouse where just teams, the backdrop and the rims. You saw Villanova a couple weeks ago. They were abysmal against Butler. I think a couple of you guys and me may have beaten Villanova that day. I believe they were like 1 for 30 almost from 3. We could close our eyes and maybe make a couple more, but that is an issue. And the Badgers, they're going to need great play from their backcourt because their guards have been a little inconsistent as of late. And that's why I think North Carolina's got a good shot to get through and meet up with Baylor this weekend.
On the bottom part of the South, is Ohio State vulnerable? Or they look pretty hot in that Big Ten tournament.
Oh, man, they're a really tough matchup for just about any team in the country. The one thing I will say that is on Baylor's side is Baylor is, I think Mark Vital is like the perfect power forward defensive player, especially against Ohio State. I wouldn't be shocked to see Mark Vital match up occasionally with E.J. Liddell, who I've seen play high school ball in Illinois. He's 6'7.5", 6'8" on a good day, and Mark Vital's not much shorter than that. I was listening at, 6'6". He's the perfect guy that can guard Liddell around the perimeter. Liddell oftentimes is going against a defender that's close to 7 feet and pushing 3 bills, or at least 2.5. Mark Vital can move a lot better than most 4 and 5. So I think Baylor actually matches up really well with them. But on the flip side, guys like C.J. Walker and Dwayne Washington is cold-blooded. He will pull up from just inside a half court, and he'll connect on some deep threes. So he's the guy that bails the Buckeyes out. If Daveon Mitchell can limit his touches, I love Baylor in that potential Elite Eight matchup. But if Washington can get Mitchell in foul trouble or stay hot, the Buckeyes can handle Baylor, at least take them to the limits that we've seen a few times down the stretch here. But certainly overall, I love the mixture of talent and size that Baylor has. And I think in terms of the region, other than North Carolina, there's not too many teams that they can pound on the backboard. And good news for North Carolina, or I should say for Baylor fans. Baylor, one of their strengths, as we all know, they're one of the best teams. In my fact, they are the best team in the country from three-point territory in terms of three-point percentage. North Carolina's weakness, arguably their number one weakness as a team this year, has been turnovers and three-point defense. They cannot run anybody off the three-point line. So Baylor may be in their wheelhouse right there. If they can connect on about a dozen threes, which isn't too crazy, there's a good chance that they could run North Carolina out of the gym, which is not something we've been able to say for pretty much ever.
Yeah, that would be something else. Dan, one of the hottest teams there in the tournament period was Oklahoma State. Now, I know they fell to Texas in the championship game, but Cade Cunningham showing flashes of why he's going to be the number one overall pick. How dangerous of a team do you think Oklahoma State is entering this tournament?
Yeah, I think they're extremely dangerous. A lot of people thought going into the season, at least myself, along with many others, we weren't sure if they were going to make the tournament, of course, with their petition to make it. But there was no talk about down the stretch, and here they are. The NCAA, maybe, I don't know if that was a factor. It's not supposed to be, but pretty much everybody in America had a 203 bracketologists. I believe it was nearly 200, including myself. One of the one seeds that we got off was Oklahoma State. We thought would be pretty much a lock for a 3. I thought they had a decent shot to get a 2 had they beaten Texas, but they lost. Committee bumped them down for a 4, which doesn't make too much sense since they put West Virginia in the same region as a 3. But to answer your question, the Cowboys are legit. I think ultimately the Boone brothers are key, but Caleb Boone in the paint in the interior, he's a great rim protector. If he can stay out of foul trouble, whatever he gives them offensively is really a bonus. But he's such a good rebounder and defensive player near the rim. I think he's the X factor. But Cade Cunningham is going to be a matchup nightmare for anybody. Illinois plays oftentimes 4 guards. So assuming the Cowboys get to the Sweet 16, which they should get there, I think Tennessee potentially could get into a defensive, slow, methodical pace of game, which Oklahoma State maybe not overly accustomed to, but in the Big 12, they've seen a lot of different styles. So I think a potential Illinois-Oklahoma State winner of that Sweet 16 game potentially will win that Midwest region more likely than not. So they are very dangerous. They're a clear-cut top 10 team, and I think they're clearly better than any 3 or 4 seed going to the tournament than other maybe Texas, who, of course, they just fought a fairly respectable game with in the title game where they had no rest. And, of course, the Longhorns had a day off with the Kansas.
Thank you, Dan. We appreciate it. We'll try to be in touch, stay in touch. I know you text me, and we'll kind of keep up with this along the way about the C3 weeks of crazy, including the first 2 games that are going on right now. Thanks for your time, and good luck the rest of the way.
Absolutely. Enjoy the games, guys.
Yeah, you too. Dan Vosta, bracketmatrix.com, 41-34, Mount St. Mary's, a little under 12 minutes left in that game. And Drake and Wichita State in the break. They've tipped off tonight. App State, Norfolk State, and also UCLA, Michigan State.
I want to ask Armstrong a question. Why do you hate these graphics so much? He's gone on a little bit. I wouldn't call it a rant, but I've seen a couple of tweets from Armstrong during the show of he's not a fan of the graphics that are being used for the tournament. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. It looks just very basic, very slapped together. It looks something you'd see on like a really cheap high school broadcast on, whatever. I mean, doesn't it? I mean, yeah. It does not look professional at all. I don't know. Maybe if this
feels like there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, it's just confusing, and it doesn't seem like it's.
I'm not nuts about the font.
The font on the scores does not look good.
Yeah, I have certain fonts that I like. I'm a Times New Roman, but they're not going to use that.
You like certain font.
No, there's a couple I like. Good. There's a couple that I do like, but that's my favorite. That's the way for me it's easier to read. But you're right, it looks very bland.
Yeah.
They're very bland. And the NCAA first round in the right corner, I know you got to explain what that is. If it's an NFL playoff game, they would say divisional round or whatever. Like, look at there's just so much.
Yeah, there's foul possession.
Like now, there's gonna be another layer and another layer. Next thing you know, it's a wall, like China.
It's like CNN on election night. All of a sudden,
oh gosh,
when there's 36 people.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and they got like bleachers because of analysts. All right, Katie Stager-Smith here or in the break.
Armstrong.
Well, I was just gonna say ESPN puts just that amount of information on their scoreboards, but just way more compact.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's taking up a little.
Yeah,
bit
it's
of
a little bit too wide. It is. It's a little bit too much.
Anyways,
all right. What do we do?
Yeah, I mean, we'll go to break here.
All right, let's come back with Katie Stager-Smith, Baylor All-American volleyball player who now does their color analyst work with the ESPN Plus broadcast, and also Paul's 5 at 5:55 on this March the 18th, 2021. What a great day. This is SicEm365 Radio.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
If for qualified buyer, 4,009, 3.9% DTL, extra CD for details. The 22-year anniversary sales event is going on now at Richard Carr. Make your refund or stimulus even bigger when you add savings like a 2019 Buick Encore for only $169 a month, a 2018 GMC Train for only $208 a month, a 2018 GMC Sierra for only $374 a month. 100% credit approval is always our goal. Get here now and save during the anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Katie Stager-Smith, former Baylor All-American, also Baylor volleyball analyst with us on SicEm365 Radio. So they're back in action. And Houston tonight and then Rice tomorrow, getting back-to-back games and also on the road a little bit. As a player, did road trips help with chemistry, camaraderie, and especially if you had wins?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's always fun to, especially those bus trips, for them to be able to go on a bus, having 2 back-to-back games, they're able to stay the night in between and play some good opponents in Houston and Rice. But I think for me, I always just enjoyed the times in between the games and just kind of getting to go different places and have different experiences. But I think, yeah, to your point, winning on the road, you love those wins at home, but I think to be able to give this team just more experience on the road this season will kind of give them better experience once we're coming up on this tournament to kind of better prepare them for it in what's been such a crazy year.
Yeah, and they had this season. We know it's been split up, and now they're on a nice little winning streak, or at least since Texas, and dominated Texas State. Do you feel like they're close to where they need to be? They're ranked 6th in the country, so obviously they're very, very good. But do you feel like they're getting kind of close to being back to where they need to be?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think Coach McGuire always talks about wanting to play their best volleyball, at this point in the season, right? When you're really close to the tournament and kind of having, firing on all cylinders, everything going well. And I think kind of coming off that Texas State match, just offensively, looking at some of those numbers with them, hitting 398, just a lot of people playing good, clean, efficient volleyball. Just kind of, I got to believe as a coach, makes you feel better going into the tournament. Again, not to say, they're still about, April 4th is around the corner. The tournament is coming soon for sure, but I think they're definitely looking forward to a few more of these matchups to just give them more experience as they come close to it. But I think the fact that they are playing good, clean volleyball is exciting, and it seems like they're continuing to move in the correct trajectory, which is fun for me to watch.
Everyone knows about what Presley's done and a couple of others, but what's gotten into Hannah Sedgwick?
Yeah, Hannah Sedgwick is, we say what's gotten into her. I think she's always been that steady player, right? Behind every good hitter, behind every good offense is the setter that's running the show, the quarterback of the team. So I think, she was injured early on in the fall, so there was a little bit in the fall where she was having to come back from that. But, Hannah Sedgwick's an All-American for a reason. She has been so much of the reason that this offense has been successful. So love seeing her get that National Player of the Week, Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week honor, because she truly is such a glue for this Baylor team and an incredible leader for them as well.
I noticed that Baylor has actually, we know how good Texas is and others, but that Baylor actually has more of those weekly winners of the awards than anybody else in the conference. Does that show depth and kind of a mixture of talent?
Certainly shows depth. Certainly shows. I think, I love that, you don't always see setters get that offensive Player of the Week award. But I think also you take a look at some players like Yasiana Presley, who I think have won Big 12 awards, I think it's 18 times in her career. So I think sometimes there's a few players that have come in and gotten a lot of those awards that have added up. But yes, to your point, you see a lot of different names on there. We got to see Presley Anderson, I believe it was her first week out playing for Baylor, get Defensive Player of the Week. And we've just seen a lot of different players be able to shine and get those honors. So, yeah, I think it shows depth and the fact that it's not just one player, that it's a lot of different players and they're all in a lot of different positions as well.
Well, they have the win. They're coming off that win. And Texas State, it's been a little over a week. They had 2 postponed or canceled, Oklahoma and North Texas. How much do they lose from not playing those matches?
Yeah, I think, we've talked previously about just the difficulty in scheduling for McGuire and his staff, just because a lot of teams are in the middle of their conference. There's only such a it's a pretty small window that they can fit these games in. And so I think it's a bummer in a sense of those were 2 games that they'd scheduled. So being able to, practice 1 week, have a game and have 2 games, and then that they weren't able to have those, I think is a bummer. But we kind of talked about it before, but I think if Baylor is practicing in a way that they're competing in practice like they would in games, it just kind of puts more of the ownership on them to do that, in my opinion.
There's a difference in a way, though, isn't there, in game shape? Even if you've played and practice shape, we've seen what happened with Baylor, the Lady Bears, and also, of course, with Baylor men's basketball had a long pause of 20 days without anything. Individuals could do things, but there's just a difference there, isn't there?
Absolutely, and I think that's why I'm excited about, one, that they have these 2 Houston ones set up for this week. Or I guess not this weekend, today and tomorrow, but then that they'll have Texas and then that Texas State match so that they can kind of get back in the rhythm. I think the sweet spot is, we talked about when we saw with the men's basketball team that just being out for a while and then there's kind of always time to recover. I mean, I know if there are those, not trying to not that they need to brush off any dust or anything because they've been practicing every day, but there are those times in a game where you want to get back into the rhythm, and you'd rather do it in these games than your first game of the tournament.
You do have Baylor, the Lady Bears, the volleyball team. They have Texas around the corner, and that's on the 26th, a week from tomorrow. Katie Stager-Smith with us, former Baylor All-American and color analyst for volleyball on SicEm365 Radio. That's the ultimate. That's where right? Because that's where they beat them last year at home, which was a massive win and vaulted them. They were obviously very good. But that's where you'll know where you are?
I think that's always a good indicator to any coach, right, to any fan of how the team's feeling, how confidently they're going to enter that game. Because realistically, I mean, depending on how the bracket lays out, those could very well be 2 Final Four teams. So having the opportunity to play them before you're in the, one and done model of the tournament, I think is awesome, and a great kudos scheduling on both of those teams' parts for putting that on their schedules. But I think the way they come out in that game will be very telling if, 1, hey, let's do this, or 2, we got to get our minds right. This is a good wake-up call with the tournament around the corner.
Katie, thank you. Love the segment. Appreciate your insight, and we'll see what happens in Houston with Houston tonight and Rice tomorrow. They get 4 of the next 12 Super Bowls, including 23, 25, 29, and 33, special Christmas Day games, exclusive NFC Championship games. And so those are some of the Fox Deportes gained additional Spanish language rights as well. So that's part of, as we kind of dissected that television deal with the NFL, that is all the networks who have them now, but Amazon Prime, is that right? Mm-hmm. And ESPN Plus now are a part of the package as well.
And it appears to me, just reading things in the way it's not specifically spelled out, but it looks to me like instead of the NFL Sunday Ticket, since most people will probably be on subscription services, especially the particular ones that are on this if you're an NFL fan. So instead of having to buy the NFL Sunday Ticket where you get every game and you just go to the channel and get it, whatever channel that game is on, you can go to that app. So if it's on ESPN and ESPN has 4 games at the same time, you can select between those 4 games in the app. If it's on CBS, then that's Paramount Plus. If it's on whatever it is, you can just go to that app and do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see because, DirecTV's partnership isn't ending right now. It looks like it's going to be till the end of that deal, so I guess another year or 2. And then all signs point to DirecTV's Sunday Ticket going to the wayside. So you can have it for a little while longer, maybe for another season or 2, but then that's probably going away. And, yeah, I mean, get ready for subscriptions. That's the thing is – you're going to have Amazon to watch the Amazon game, and you're going to have to, I know Tubi's free, and there's actually a lot of good free TV apps of just if you like older TV especially, but it's going to kind of take a map to figure out where everything's going to be over the next few years, but we knew that was the world we were walking into with streaming. That was always going to be the case, and, college football is probably going to follow suit here in a few years with their new rights deals. I would imagine Amazon Prime is going to go grab like the Big Ten or
it's kind of like that already.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just going to further be like that. Mm-hmm. The more we move along, it's going to be further, deals and online watching and things like that.
I know there's gnashing of teeth because we get used to things. Although in this day and age, you could never get used to anything. It changes so much. I remember when Fox joined the party, because forever the games were on CBS. And I guess it was NBC. The NBC had the AFC, CBS had the NFC, and then there was Monday Night Football on ABC. Well, a lot of things have changed, but Fox came in, put in a bunch of money. They're a major player. So getting Amazon Prime involved or getting whatever involved, it's like Baylor tomorrow, 2:30 playing on True TV. When you first had this, kind of hard. You didn't know where it was. It's now just a part of it. It's everywhere. You just kind of take a little bit of time and find it. You don't have to call a radio or TV station. You could ask us, and I've answered some of you. It's there. They put it in places where you could find it, and some places are not as free or easy to get to. I understand, but you'll be fine. The DirecTV, I had that forever, and it was great to have the Sunday ticket. You'll still be able to get that somewhere else. All right, Texas Southern, 52-50 Mount St. Mary's. 3 minutes left in that game, and Drake, Wichita State, very early, not even halfway through the first half. It's like 10-7 Wichita State. Time for Paul.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
All right. So yesterday was the top 5 luckiest plays. This is kind of the unluckiest moments plays in sports. So number 5, Smokey, I know this one you'll remember well. Jack didn't. Number 5, Greg Norman at the 96 Masters. Was that unlucky? Is it fair to call that unlucky?
No. He choked. I used to wear a Greg Norman hat. I had his Greg Norman the Shark, shirts. Loved the guy. He was my favorite golfer at the time, not because he was the best, because initially he wasn't. He never won a major on the United States soil. He won 2 British Opens, but the 96 Masters, he flat out coughed it up. But the only way he would have done that is if he was paired in the final round, which he was when Faldo had a nice third round, paired him with Norman, and basically it was just a matter of time when he crumbled.
Yeah. All right, number 4, this bird that Randy Johnson killed. Armstrong, cue it up. I love this video.
Oh, you're going to get PETA.
Isn't it weird to you, like, how bad the graphics and the quality looks from just even a few years ago?
Look at this poor bird.
I mean, of all the thing, and the bird's got to be flying pretty fast.
Oh, it's definitely flying fast.
I mean, to get through here.
It was.
Didn't
someone try to sue him? He was sued for this.
No, there was an outfielder who did it in Toronto. They got in trouble for he intentionally threw the ball at the bird, and they wrote him a ticket for killing animal. Randy Johnson was intentionally throwing the ball at the plate, and the bird was just unlucky.
That's like actually one of the most incredible things I think you'll ever see. I mean, really, like the odds of a bird flying through at that exact moment that he's unleashing like a 90+ mile per hour pitch and just to connect like that was wild.
What if the other birds were like, did you hear what happened to Ted?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Stayed away from baseball games for a while.
Yeah. All right, number 3, and if I cry in the middle of this one, it's fine. Bill Buckner. I mean,
I wasn't alive for this one, I don't think.
It was 1986. You were quite young,
I was barely alive, but
I was 6 years old.
Can you give us a better perspective on kind of the feeling during that?
The Red Sox were going to win the World Series.
Well, we know that, but like from your standpoint at the time, do you recall having any type of feeling whatsoever about Buckner play?
Yeah, I wanted Boston to win it as bad as any Boston Red Sox fan because they had been through the drought like the Cubs and the Red Sox. I wanted to be able to say I watched them win. They eventually both did. But, yeah, that was just like, you've got to be kidding me. And it sure enough, it went right through the wickets.
Well, lucky for him, they eventually won it. He just had to deal with it for like 20-something years.
Yeah.
Being the scapegoat.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. All right, number 2, Cowboys fans aren't going to like this one. Jackie Smith.
Yeah, against the Steelers.
I didn't realize this when looking this up today. I didn't realize he had not been targeted for a pass the whole season.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's not. No, he was just.
Wonder why?
Yeah, they didn't throw passes to him, but that's also why they called this play.
Smart,
because
great play call.
Because the Steelers were like, well, I mean, go ahead.
Great play call.
Right
That's just,
between the 8 and the 1.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame tight end with the Cardinals. He was fantastic with them. And, yeah, that moment just he kind of looked like he was sliding on his heels or something.
Yeah, he was a little bit, but it still hit him right in the chest.
Yeah.
And number 1, this poor guy, Steve Bartman.
Oh. You know, there's a documentary about when the Cubs finally won. But, yeah, that was America at its worst right there, as far as American sports fans at their worst. Can you imagine if that happened today with social media?
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. That happened before social media, and his life was ruined.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And so with social media, oh, my gosh. And it was just, look, the guy was doing what everybody – we had one – the day yesterday of Jeffrey Meyer doing the same thing on a fair ball. This was a foul ball, Look at the guy. There's a person next to him. What if they would, and again, that could have been them. They're looking for it too.
Now, I just always remember the shots of him right after it happened. And I mean, really, I've never felt, I'm sure I've felt worse for other people, but I felt so bad for that guy because it was not, nefarious. Dude was just there enjoying a game and thought he was going to catch a fly ball and got caught up in the moment. And
as big a Cubs fan as you could ever find.
I don't know the guy from Adam, but I hated it for that guy. And just watching him sit there, and I can only imagine what was being said to him.
They had to sneak him out of the stadium.
I felt so bad for that guy, and the fact that he's basically had to live off the radar ever since then. That's terrible.
Well, and here's the other thing that's worse about it to me. If Alex Gonzalez at shortstop fields a routine ground ball 2 pitches later, the inning's still over.
Yeah.
They
blamed everything on him that happened after the fact. It's
he's not the player.
No, it's that happened, but you still had chances after that to go and win the game and didn't win it.
But you could feel it.
It changed the momentum and everything.
It was over,
But still, I felt awful for that guy.
Yeah, that's the luck, and the bird has to probably, of the 5 to me is, oh my goodness.
I can watch that video all day long.
One note from a listener yesterday. This is from Baylor 88 Bear on the college football overtime rules. He threw this out at us. Just had to share this. My thoughts on overtime in college. Start at the 25 like already. No first downs. You get 4 plays to score, however you do it. No first downs. If you get to the 12 after third down,
that's interesting.
Yeah,
I actually kind of like that because one thing I don't like about the overtime is that you can get a couple first downs, and it's just I don't know. I for some reason I don't like that idea. I don't like getting the first down and then getting. I don't know. I would actually be for that, I think.
All right. Thanks to John Jacobs, Jeremiah Dickey, Tim Maloney, Mickey Spagnola, Jovan Overshone. Also, thanks to Dan Vosta and Katie Stager-Smith. Thanks to Cole. Good to have Cole back in the studio with his throwback Astros cap. And Armstrong Sims, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. We wouldn't have known you had it not been a year ago today. May have never known the talent, the genius of Armstrong Sims. For Paul Catalina and Craig Smoak, sometimes things happen. And you know what? It can be better because of it. I'm David Smoak. Thank you on SicEm365 Radio.
Time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.
March marks 22 years for Richard Carr Motors. Celebrate with big savings going on now during the anniversary sale event.